Ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday, October 9th, 2025, and here is what's coming up on the Owen Report today. Well, the big news, the signing of the peace deal. Israel and Hamas agree to pause fighting. Did they really? Hostages are going to be returned. And of course, the credit going to President Trump. Hamas saying that President Trump has received, well, Hamas has received, rather, guarantees from President Trump that this peace deal will be good, and whatever it is that the Hamas leadership is asking for, Trump is going to guarantee it. Well, how much faith do you have in that? And then in the aftermath, of course, President Trump is being nominated now, not officially, for a Nobel Peace Prize. So actually, you're going to see a bunch of people talking about President Trump getting a Nobel Peace Prize. It's not happening. It's not. It literally cannot happen unless they change the rules. But they're buzzing about it, and they're putting out all these posts about the peacetime president deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. We'll get into that. The government shutdown continues. They could have reopened it today. They didn't. The Democrats blocked the bill to end the shutdown. Are we cheering? Are we cheering for the Democrats here? Are we happy the Democrats are keeping the government shut down? I can't help it. Just the words government shutdown make me a little giddy. Just feels right. Government shutdown. Ooh, that sounds good. Yeah, talk dirty to me. Government shutdown. Yeah. Abolish the IRS. Oh, baby. Well, they are going to fire a bunch of IRS workers. But now the Democrats are proposing they want single item, single issue bills. Oh, my gosh. It's amazing what the Democrats turn into when they're out of power and influence. Shutting down the government? Proposing single item bills? My goodness, who are these people? Where did they come from? And what have they done with the normal scumbag Democrats? No, I don't think they've changed. They're all chameleons in D.C. They're all chameleons. Well, it turns out that Kristi Noem is very popular, and she's been able to get DHS to have the highest approval rating it's had in years. So it turns out the deportations are very popular, even the methods used. And I think that's really a sign of where America is at, just being fed up with it. They want to see that show of force. I think that's more of what it is than anything. They're sick of the criminals in their cities. But things are getting interesting on that front. There are some Republicans now criticizing it. I think these are for political reasons. And now, they bring in all these new Border Patrol agents, and they're confronting the protesters, the people they're deporting. And there's some skirmishes now. There's some war of words, if you will, happening now. Turning Point USA announces they're going to be doing an all-American halftime show. What is that all about? Well, I might have a little inside info on that. You've also got the Epstein saga back in the news today, where Mike Johnson can't decide where he's at with the whole Epstein thing. He wants to stop the Epstein files from coming up, but Maxwell is so bad, we have to make sure she doesn't get a pardon. I don't understand. And then there's new news with the cell. The actual cell Epstein was in. Brigitte Macron in the news today. The market's in the news today. A lot of stuff to cover today.
This news update was brought to you by the 1776 Law Center, the official legal team of the Owen Report.
It's the fastest 3 hours on the internet. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer. Extra-dimensional and multi-universal. Here's your host, Owen Schroyer.
That's the Gorillas. Dirty Harry. I'll give you a second to finish dancing. It's cool. It's cool. Finish your dance moves. Let the kids dance. Let them have some fun. All right. Perhaps we should start with the hostage deal. Now, all over the American media, you're seeing this. It's on right now, actually. The people are celebrating in Israel. The people are celebrating in Gaza that they're finally getting a peace deal. And it seems like Hamas, at least at the current hour, feels that they got what they wanted here. And it seems like they trust President Trump's guarantees that have allowed this deal to go down. Now, of course, Trump and Netanyahu were not in the room. You had Steve Witkoff's envoy there meeting with Hamas leaders and Israeli delegates. But I got to tell you, folks, you know, I want nothing more than the death and destruction to stop. Okay? I want nothing more than the death and destruction to stop. And I think most people agree with that, at least in America and maybe all over the world. We want the death and destruction to stop. But peace deal. You know, I think we need to put this into perspective. What does a peace deal really mean? Is it a ceasefire? Is it stopping the death and destruction, at least for a certain period of time? Perhaps part of this guarantee had to do with land, maybe a two-state solution. But the bad blood is still there. The bad blood is still there. And the way that they negotiated the deal, it was all about a certain timeline. And so to me, if you're negotiating in good faith about reaching a peace deal, sure, you put things down as standards and you say, this officially goes into place at X time on X date. But if you're truly negotiating in good faith and you truly mean it and you want it, peace, then there should be some sort of a motivation. There should be some sort of a acceptance that, hey, we're going to stop the fighting now. And yet Israel was bombing Gaza and shooting at civilians right up to the buzzer. Right up to the buzzer. They were still bombing and still killing. So you could say, well, they didn't violate the peace deal because Technically, it didn't go into place until this time. Really? Really? Okay, if we're accepting that, but do you think the people that died, the family members of the people that died, do you think the people that were under attack while the peace deal was supposedly agreed to, do you think they feel the same way? Do you think that they feel that that's a peace deal? Do you feel that that's operating in good faith? None of the previous peace deals have worked, and I'm not so confident that this one will work. Israel and Hamas agree to pause fighting in Gaza under Trump plan. They've also agreed to release the remaining hostages in an exchange for the Palestinian prisoners that are being held in Israel. Trump is getting much of the credit with his envoy for negotiating this deal and getting it done. And it seems as though the Hamas leadership feels confident in the agreement and trusts President Trump enough that when he guarantees the bullet points on this deal, that they say, fine, we trust you, because they obviously don't trust Netanyahu. Hamas leader in Gaza, we have received guarantees from the Trump administration. The war is completely over. Khalil al-Hayya, head of Hamas delegation to the ceasefire talks in Sharm el-Sheikh, declared that mediators and the United States provided assurances that the war had ended, added that the deal includes a permanent ceasefire and the opening of the Rafah crossing. He went on to say, the world was astonished by the sacrifice, resilience, and patience of the people of Gaza. Well, I think the world was more astonished by the death and the destruction. Al-Hayya said in a statement broadcast to Gazans, coinciding with the end of Israel's security cabinet meeting in Jerusalem. The government session, originally scheduled to begin immediately afterward, was delayed, but nonetheless, they reached the deal and they made the announcement. They went on to say, we tell the heroes of the resistance, as you were men in battle, you were also men at the negotiating table. The enemy committed massacre after massacre and repeatedly obstructed mediation efforts. Despite these ongoing violations, we continued the negotiations and made every effort to stop the war. So I don't really think it's possible for most Americans to even comprehend any of this, to be honest with you. And while the vast majority of Americans don't really have a dog in the fight, they have no loyalty to Israel, they have no loyalty to Palestine, they might have their political loyalties that try to push them to one side, but most Americans are not, they're not familiar with this. And even the American Jews that do feel a certain level of loyalty or passion or love for Israel, most American Jews really can't even relate to this because they don't live there. They live very comfortably here in the greatest country on earth, the United States of America. So you have to kind of take this with a grain of salt and try to get some perspective here. Obviously, the people in Gaza, I don't see them forgiving Israel for what's been done. Their entire country, if you will. I don't know what you're supposed to call it. You get yelled at if you call it a country. You get yelled at if you don't. Where they were living, their civilization, where the Palestinians' remaining civilization has been completely and utterly destroyed, completely and utterly demolished, their entire civilization. So they could celebrate if they believe that the death and destruction is going to be over. Now, again, I don't know. Do they even trust the so-called Hamas leadership? Do they even trust them? Because at the end of the day, it's the people that live there that have suffered the most, that probably have nothing to do with October 7th or any of the aftermath. They're just living their lives, and now the next thing you know, everything around them is blowing up. They're running for their lives, trying to get to a safe zone, trying to get aid, under fire again. But everything that they've known is completely destroyed. So they might be happy if they truly believe that this complete and total destruction of their civilization is coming to an end and they don't have to fear for their life every day. But do they trust the Hamas leadership? Do they trust Israel? Somehow I doubt it. Somehow I doubt it. Now, you could argue we haven't been this far in the peace negotiations, but you can also argue that we have, and they've never lasted. And isn't it amazing how Americans have such a short-term memory? As if we haven't been here before? And as if peace deals haven't fallen apart before? Wasn't it just a few months ago we were celebrating a peace deal? How long did that last? So I'm in a let's wait and see mode, but for the sake of humanity, let's hope that the death and destruction ends. And, I anticipate this will be a major topic of discussion for me because next week I already have confirmed. Well, I guess I haven't confirmed a time with Dinesh D'Souza. I did confirm a time with Ashton Forbes. And we were having a back and forth on X today about the situation in Israel. And he agreed to come on the show next week. So next Tuesday, I'll be debating this with him. I already have another guest, a former WWE superstar, on Wednesday. So I'll either try to do Dinesh D'Souza Thursday or I may push him to later in the month. But I imagine all of this is going to come up. And D'Souza kind of goes along more of the biblical argument. And not to show my hand now, but, they talk about the Bible. They try to bash you over the head with it to get you to support this stuff. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's classy. I think it's very dark and twisted, actually, to do that. But okay, that's what they do. And I would just say, you want to sit here and quote the Bible all day long, as if somehow the Bible tells Americans somewhere that you'll find a interpretation of a quote that somehow means no, America has to support Israel no matter what, whoever the leader is, whatever they're doing. It's like that's what they're trying to tell you. And I would just push back and say, yeah, okay, let's talk about the Bible. Let's talk about some other quotes then, like, whatsoever you do to the least of my people, that you do unto me. How's that one resonate with 10,000 plus children dead? Yeah. I don't think so good. I don't think that's so good. It's very offensive, in my view, as a Christian, to get lectured like that and then to basically be held hostage like you're not a true Christian or your faith is no good here if you don't support a government, that you don't agree with the things that they're doing, or a military. And they play this game and they try to interpret the Bible for you and then use it as a political cudgel to get you to support things that you wouldn't support otherwise. I don't like it. I think it's classless. Whatsoever you do to the least of my people, that you do unto me. What do you think God feels for the 10,000, 20,000 Palestinian children that died in the last 2 years, mangled, brutalized? Say, well, what about October 7th? Okay, yeah, that was horrific. That was bad too. Nobody supports that. The whole thing is awful. The whole thing is depressing. The whole thing is despicable. That's why I put my hands in the air and I say, I'm out. That's why most Americans are throwing their hands in the air saying, we're done. Leave us out of it. By the way, I can't afford my bills. I need to get another job. I don't even have time. I can't afford my insurance. I can't afford a house. I don't want anything to do with this death and destruction. No. The Bible says, yes, you have to be a slave. The Bible says you must be a slave to a foreign country. Screw you. Because isn't that really what they're saying? You're not the chosen people. You must be a slave. You must support it no matter what. You must pay for it no matter what. That's what they're interpreting. That's their interpretation of the Bible. You say, I don't want to support it anymore. No. The Bible says, whatsoever you do to the least of my people, that you do unto me. So see, I will tell you, I have very little faith in this peace deal. I have very little faith. And doesn't it seem a little cold-hearted? Again, I look at the people in Gaza celebrating, so I say, okay, this affects them more than me. So if they like it and they trust it, then, maybe we can't have peace here. Maybe we can't have peace here. Of course, we're going to be told we need to bomb Iran soon again anyway. But I'm just like, I don't have a short-term memory loss here. I don't have a long-term memory loss here. I know we've had peace deals before and they've almost all gone sideways. But doesn't it just feel a little off? And it's like they've just completely annihilated virtually an entire civilization. Has been completely wiped off the map, completely flattened. You say, Owen, but this is them responding to October 7th. Well, first of all, that was a stand down, but okay, we just refuse to put that into context. So fine. All right, fine. They responded to a terror attack. They responded as they see fit. I don't want it to be any of my business. But it does seem a little dirty, doesn't it? Like, oh yeah, we just wiped out your entire civilization and, killed a bunch of your children, but peace. But it's not my peace deal to celebrate or not, just to cover. I don't know. 51% this lasts more than a month. 51% maybe. I mean, I'd put it right there on the edge. Do you really think the Netanyahu regime wants peace? I doubt it. And I wouldn't be surprised if Netanyahu and the far right that is currently running this agenda, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to reject this in the aftermath. I wouldn't be surprised one bit because they want that land. I think they want to build a canal and whatever other resources, whatever other value is in that land. That's what I think it's about for them. So if they're not getting that, in this deal, do you really think they're going to stop? Do you really think they're going to just be pleased with just demolishing an entire civilization? Was that what this was about? We're just going to fight back? I don't know what the solution is because this has been going on for thousands of years, but I do know what the solution is for you. I do know what the solution is for me. I do know what the solution is for America. And that's to just get the hell out. Just walk away and say, I want nothing to do with this. It's like, haven't you ever experienced something like this in your life? I can think of a couple times where I'd be, say I was in high school or college or something, group of friends, and there's, let's say some rival friend groups or something, and you can feel some tension building. There's about to be a fight, and you're just like, hey, I'm out. I want nothing to do with this. I'm out. And you can decide you want to get in this beef, you want to get in this fight. You can end up with a broken nose in the hospital, stabbed, or you can just say, I'm out. But I'd say 51% chance this lasts more than a month. Hope I'm wrong. For the sake of humanity, for the sake of the world, for the sake of everybody. I hope they really do have a deal here. I hope it's permanent. I hope we do get peace in the Middle East, but none of us have ever seen that in our lives. So why would I have any faith that I'm going to see it now? I don't. Or, well, I should say I have very little faith. So, in the aftermath of this, they're saying Trump should get a Nobel Peace Prize. Well, technically he's ineligible for this round. He was not officially nominated, so he can't even technically win it in this go around. Anna Paulina Luna endorses Trump for Nobel Peace Prize after Gaza ceasefire. I like Anna Paulina Luna, and she's really good at getting headlines, including this one. That's just a total headline grab. Nicely done, Anna Paulina Luna. Nicely done. You did it. You got the headline. So good for you. And maybe you win a little favor. Maybe you win a little favor with the Trump administration with something like that. You know, you butter him up. You butter him up. Did Trump really end 7 wars? What to know about Nobel Peace Prize push? You know, I looked into these wars, specifically that one in Africa that he ended that was like 20 years or whatever. And here's a shocker here. Here's a shocker for you. And I don't have the numbers in front of me. I did this research whenever he signed that peace deal with Africa, and I was looking into this. Did you know more people die from homicide, from gun violence in inner cities in the United States of America than died in that war every year? Let me try to communicate this more efficiently, more effectively here. More Americans die in the streets of America than Africans were dying in that war. And you could say, well, Owen, America is much bigger than those two countries, so that's not fair to say. Well, I would push back. I'd say, well, is America at war? Do we have a war on our streets? Why would our death count be higher than 2 war-torn countries? And then I would actually follow up and I'd say, if you isolated the cities and just said it's just these cities, which it is just the cities, and you isolated that, that would be much smaller than the 2 countries in Africa. So I'll tip my cap to President Trump when he ends a war and gets a peace deal done and brings the delegations to Washington, D.C. to do it. I'll tip my cap. But let's not sit here and pretend like we don't have Americans dying every single day in this country, in inner cities. Gun violence, gang violence, random acts of crime, robberies gone wrong, just all of it, gang initiation. So now, obviously, Trump is trying to do something about the violence in the inner cities, too. He's not getting any help from the Democrat mayors or the Democrat governors. But here would be my final, here's my final statement on this whole Nobel Peace Prize push, Nobel Trump Peace Prize. If you had any contributions to war, then you just don't qualify. I think President Trump is disqualified from getting the Nobel Peace Prize because he continued to support Israel's war in the Gaza Strip. So I don't know how you can qualify for a Nobel Peace Prize when you have continued to financially and militarily support a country that is killing people. Same goes for Ukraine. Same thing goes for Ukraine. I'm sorry. How can you get a Nobel Peace Prize when you're continuing war? So I'll tip my cap to the peace deals, certainly. Congratulations. Great job, President Trump. You showed initiative. You got it done. But I'm sorry. When you're contributing financially and militarily to multiple wars right now, you don't get a Nobel Peace Prize. Now, having said all that, in fairness, the Nobel Peace Prize is almost meaningless. The Nobel Peace Prize means nothing anymore. They gave one to Obama while he was on multiple bombing campaigns. So it really is just a political statement now. So Trump will never win it because the people involved in this election will never give it to him because they hate him. So even if he did deserve one, which he could potentially be in that category, not this year, maybe in the future, if he does secure a peace deal in the Middle East, okay. If Trump brings an end to war in the Middle East and an end to the war in Russia and Ukraine, then we can have a serious talk about Trump getting a Nobel Peace Prize. Way too early in this deal, but he still supported Israel in their war. He still supported Ukraine in their war. So no, you don't get a Nobel Peace Prize to me. Not even close. But it's meaningless now, so I guess anybody gets it. Obama can get one. Obama just got out of the he just got out of the White House sitting with his military generals. He just called to bomb 8 different countries, and then he went up to receive his Nobel Peace Prize. Obama just divided America on racial lines, unlike anything my generation has ever seen. And then he goes and gets a Nobel Peace Prize. So it really doesn't mean anything anymore anyway, if it ever did. But no, I'm sorry. Let's just stop. Let's just stop. Let's all calm down. Trump is not qualified to get a Nobel Peace Prize right now. You can still celebrate what he's doing. You can still tip your cap. But no. When you financially and militarily support these multi-front wars, no Peace Prize. Sorry. And I don't even know how much that means to Trump. He might want a Nobel Peace Prize. He might not. I don't know. I don't know how badly he wants it. But when you're supporting Israel's military and you're supporting Ukraine's military, to me, you're just immediately disqualified. That's it. If you're directly supporting a war, you are disqualified. Period. End of sentence. So it's not a knock. He's making geopolitical foreign policy decisions. It's fine. He's the president. He's going to do it whether I like it or not. But no, you should not even be in the conversation for a Nobel Peace Prize. And I guess who could you even name that deserves a Nobel Peace Prize? I don't think anybody does. You want to really rile them up? I nominate Tucker Carlson for the Nobel Peace Prize. That'll get them going. No, I don't really see anybody. Maybe Ron Paul. Can we give Ron Paul one while he's still with us? But seriously, is there anybody that deserves a Nobel Peace Prize? I don't see it. Elon Musk? That's a little difficult. You know, Elon Musk is one of the biggest defense contractors out there. Elon Musk's technology is used in military all around the world. So no, I don't think Musk qualifies. It has to mean something. So you can be a great person, you can want peace, but even if you're making diplomatic decisions, business decisions, whatever, and you're involved in war, you should be immediately disqualified. That's how I see it. I don't see anybody deserving of the prize. Now there's stuff, there's academics and science and all kinds of stuff. People will win them. But politically, I don't really see anybody deserving a Nobel Prize. Not in the political world, I don't. No siree. But I will say this. There was this big push to get the fluoride out of the water. I'd love to see somebody actually get us to stop poisoning our water. I might qualify you for a Nobel Peace Prize. So maybe, just maybe, our new sponsor needs to be in this conversation. Just maybe. And that's Cove Pure Water Filters. Now, if you've been following my work for a long time, how important filtered water is to me. I don't allow any non-filtered water into my house, into my body, onto my body. Everything is filtered. And so when the Cove Pure Water Filtration Company reached out, I said, absolutely. And they also have sent me some water filters that are on the way. So when I get those water filters, I can give you a bit of a review on how they operate. But if you're not thinking about your tap water, folks, you're crazy, especially now that we know everything that's in it beyond just the fluoride. And I look back when I was younger and I didn't think about it at all. I drink out of the faucet, out of the sink, everything. I wouldn't think anything about it. Then I read the studies. I found out what was in it. And of course, now I never drink anything that's not purified. And so that's why Cove Pure water filters are now the official water filters of the Owen Report. And they sent me a countertop filtration system that I can't wait to use and show you and give you a review of that. But they have the studies, and the research shows atrazine, a common pesticide, can disrupt your hormones, like everybody knows, and it can find its way into your tap water. Specifically, what do these hormone disruptors do? Well, it's kind of like the drugs that they like to give to the kids. The trans drugs, feminization of men, chemical castration. And they find this in the drinking water. You're crazy if you're not filtering your drinking water, folks. So that's why we use Cove Pure here at the Owen Report, so we can remove these nasty contaminants from our drinking water. Cove Pure filters my water in 4 stages, and it is certified to remove up to 99.9% of impurities. It's also a very sleek-looking machine. You can choose the temperature you want. So if you like your water cold, or if you're a tea person, you don't need to wait for it to boil. Just tap a button, and you can have hot, cold, or warm water, whichever one you want. Plus, it's got a pitcher, so I can easily remove it, and I don't need to get up to refill my cup every time. There are cheaper water filters on the market, but they don't filter out the tiniest of particles like the Cove Pure water filter does. Particles like fluoride, which, of course, we know the government intentionally puts in the water supply. This one filters it out. Got to do it. Pure drinking water is one of the best investments you can make, folks. And I'm happy to share that Cove Pure is giving my audience a special discount of $200 off. You heard me right. We're offering $200 off when you use my link, covepure.com/Owen. Covepure.com/Owen, exactly how you would expect to spell it. Covepure.com/Owen to get your $200 discount on your water filter. Make the choice for pure water filter. Make the choice for Cove Pure water filters. And please purify your drinking water. It's so important. Big shout out to our new water filter, the official water filter of the Owen Report, Cove Pure water filters. All right, we're going to take our first break of the day. If you're at home, I'll give you a minute here. Give you a minute to dance, loosen up a little bit, get the kinks out, let the kids out, let them dance around a little bit. And then we'll be right back with more news. Yes, my coffee water is filtered. Yes. Oh, so you noticed. This is Quab's Walk right here we're listening to, we're grooving out to. Somebody messaged me. They said, hey, it's great that you've kind of made your studio look like Rush's. I did my best. It's not exactly, but I did my best as an homage to Rush Limbaugh to try to make everything look like Rush's did. So that's why I do this camera angle right here.
You found your political compass. The Owen Report.
All right. Oh, oh. Looks like we got some breaking news. I got DOJ indicts Letitia James here. This just broke. Hello. Let's see it. Letitia James, the New York Attorney General who defeated Trump in court. Defeated Trump in court. It's a rig job. That's like, oh, I defeated you in a foot race after you chopped my legs off. Letitia James, indicted by the Justice Department. New York Attorney General Letitia James was indicted Thursday in Alexandria, Virginia, as President Trump's Justice Department continues to pursue charges against his political opponents. Oh, shut up, CNN. His political opponents. This is going to be an open and shut case if they want it. What do you think the strategy here is? What do you think the strategy is here from the Trump administration? Because they could have done this months ago. There's an open and shut case with Letitia James. I think it's the mortgage fraud angle where she was misrepresenting. She was misrepresenting her property and then basically dodging taxes and rules when she filed the run for attorney general. So, I mean, this is an open shut case. They got her. But they could have had her a long time ago. What do you think the angle here is? Do you think they bring these people in and then see if they can get them to sing? Like, who put you up to this? Who put you up to this? Who are you working with? Because the case was so corrupt, it's not even close. Who put you up to it? Who put you up to this, Letitia? Letitia James has been under investigation since May over a 2023 mortgage she took out to help her niece buy a home in Norfolk, Virginia. Do you believe that? The charges come as Trump continues to call for his enemies to be prosecuted in court. No, CNN. Let me editorialize here. Trump wants criminals to be prosecuted in court. It just so happens to be that Trump's enemies are criminals. What do you know? Former FBI Director James Comey pleaded not guilty Wednesday, that was yesterday, to allegedly making a false statement in a congressional proceeding. The Justice Department has also opened an investigation into former Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton and California Democrat Senator Adam Schiff. And there are others as well. This is crazy. Letitia James' relationship with Trump has been adversarial for years as James campaigned on promises to investigate Trump. Yeah, show me the man, I'll find you the crime. That's Attorney General James. She went way beyond her scope and her scale many times, ladies and gentlemen. My guess is you'll hear a lot more about that in the coming weeks and months. Letitia James ultimately won a civil fraud case against Trump, his adult sons, and his real estate business. A judge found them liable for fraud, inflating the value of their properties in order for Trump to pay $355 million in penalties. Trump has appealed. Folks, honestly, everybody involved in this case against Trump should go to prison. The judge, Letitia James, all of them. And how ironic is it that Letitia James accusing Trump of the fraud, she's the one that committed the fraud. Incredible. Letitia James is the one that committed fraud, real estate fraud, not Donald Trump. And they get this corrupt son of a bitch judge, some corrupt, weakling, effeminate judge, Actually, he did work out every day. So you know what? Maybe for an old man, he wasn't so weak. But constitutionally weak, constitutionally a small man. And they say Mar-a-Lago is worth $20 million. The most outrageous lie you've ever seen in a courtroom. And then they won the case by claiming Mar-a-Lago was worth $20 million. Trump could rent out Mar-a-Lago for $20 million for a week. Trump could find some rich guy to come rent out Mar-a-Lago for $20 million for a week. $20 million. So the real value, ironically, they say, oh, Trump owes us $355 million in penalties. That's probably how much Mar-a-Lago was worth. And the funny thing is, because, you know, they were trying to take all of his money and bankrupt him, they accepted, because when you have these judgments, you know, you do financial discovery and all of this stuff. And there's, you know, collateral and all these different things that go down when these big judgments hit. So they said, okay, you owe $355 million. You can put Mar-a-Lago up and we'll accept that. So they admit Mar-a-Lago is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, even though they're saying it's only worth 20. And they say, we got you, Trump, you lied. And he says, okay, I owe you $350 million. How's Mar-a-Lago? They say, yep, that's good. That's worth $350 million. I mean, you can't make this crap up. This is the scum. This is the scum of the Democrat Party. This is the scum of the left. And this is why I admit I'm impatient. I don't hide from that. I am extremely impatient. I want this scum arrested yesterday. I want this scum out of American politics, out of the American justice system. They are scum. They are lying scumbags. They don't belong anywhere in our country except a damn prison cell. Now, I wouldn't get too excited. I could believe that there is a strategy here. I want to believe, I could believe that there is a strategy from Trump here. Or maybe the administration, the FBI, the DOJ, Bondi. I don't really have much faith there. But don't expect to see Letitia James perp walked. Don't expect to see Letitia James put in a jail cell. I don't think they're going to do that. And you know what? Even though we all want that, and you know, I'll kind of push back on my own emotions here. I want to see them perp walked. I want to see them in handcuffs. I want to see them in a mugshot. I want to see them in jail. But it probably is smarter strategically, unfortunately. It's probably smarter strategically not to do that. It's probably smarter strategically to not give the Democrats that, not give the corrupt mainstream media that. Even though we want it, it's probably not smart strategically. It's like, yeah, there's this really hot girl who you know, she really wants to get with me, but you know, she's got something going on there that might burn me. So it's probably smart for me not to do that. It's like, man, you know, that would be fun, but no, I'm going to get burned. So no, we're not going to do that. So even though we all want to see it, it's probably the smarter strategy not to give them that ammo. So we'll be frustrated and yell and pull our hair out. I'm included in that crowd because I'm sick of them too. But it is probably wise strategically. So, okay, Letitia James, indicted, joins the crowd of James Comey. They're going to get Bolton. They're going to get Schiff. And this is what you got to do. And I hope this is what's happening. Bring these corrupt politicians in. Folks, I went through this process in the Biden administration. I went through this process. I talked to the feds. I gave them all of the electronic data they requested. I'm not proud to say that. It sounds dirty, but I had nothing to hide. I was innocent, so I wanted to prove it. And then, of course, they stabbed me in the back. They sent me to prison anyway. So don't trust the federal government if there's a lesson there, or get everything in writing and signed. They got to bring them in. They got to find a weak link, and they got to get them to sing. And then you can go, I don't know, whatever direction you want. RICO charges, because this is clearly a conspiracy against Donald Trump that goes all the way back to the Obama administration. I want to see them all go to prison. I'm sick of it. So I hope that's what's going on. I hope there's a real strategy here. I hope there's a real legal strategy here that can present the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt as if we don't already have it. But to the average American person out there that says, hey, there was a grand conspiracy to illegally spy on Donald Trump, to try to set him up for criminal charges, steal an election, and put him in prison. A criminal conspiracy run by the government to do that. You know there's a trail. We've already seen a lot of it. Can you twist somebody? Can you get Adam Schiff? Can you get Adam Schiff, that slimy worm? Can you get that slimy worm in a room with Kash Patel's FBI? And can you get him to sing about the grand conspiracy? Can you get Letitia James? Can you get James Comey? Can you get somebody to sing? Can you get somebody to admit it? As if the text messages with Peter Strzok and Lisa Page weren't enough. As if all the investigative work exposing the ham radio. You almost forget all the players in the game from 2015, 2016. You almost forget the names of all of these guys. No, they ran it. They ran the criminal operation. Obama greenlit it. They all ran it. Brennan, Clapper, all of them. They were all in on it. And then they were out of power, so they started using Adam Schiff. They started using Letitia James. They tried to use James Comey. No, there was a grand conspiracy. And really, the reason why it's so important, because it's not just Donald Trump. Donald Trump, the president of the United States, this is a crime against the country. This is a conspiracy against the American people that these crooks were running. And it started in the Obama administration. So I hope that's what's going on. I won't get too upset at the lack of a perp walk and mugshot and seeing them in jail, even though we all want it. We all want that satisfaction. I'm willing to let it go if there's a real strategy here to bring these people down, to bring this criminal operation against the American people, against Donald Trump down. I'm not too convinced that's how it's going to go, but I guess there's a chance. And that's the only thing that will satisfy. Anything short of dozens, if not hundreds. I mean, how many people need to be arrested? Oh, they're all freaking out now. Look at this. MSNBC is freaking out. CNN is freaking out. And of course, they're spinning it like this is some sort of a political stunt. Oh, no, she committed a damn crime. And it's just so ironic. It's the exact crime that she claimed Trump committed that he didn't commit. Bring these crooks down, man. And that's such a source of frustration here. It's like, this is what we wanted to do first. It's like, this is what we wanted first. We didn't want to deal with these foreign wars. We didn't want to deal with these foreign entanglements. We wanted to deal with the corrupt criminals in our own government first. And it's like we handled all this other crap on the other side of the planet before we even went after the own criminals right here in our backyard, our front yard, our kitchen, our bathroom, everywhere. All right, Letitia James, what size jumpsuit do you wear? Double XL? Those federal prison bunks aren't so comfortable, Tish. Not so fun. Speaking of prison cells, Jeffrey Epstein met his demise in a prison cell. Some Epstein headlines today. Speaker Mike Johnson advises President Trump against Maxwell pardon. I would not even consider it. You know, that's odd. that he would say that, because if the Epstein thing is a hoax and Speaker Johnson himself is doing everything to stop the Epstein client list and everything else from coming out right now, why would he be so concerned about Maxwell? Republicans jailbreak when House votes on Epstein petition. I don't know why they're calling it a jailbreak, but yes, Speaker Johnson is intentionally delaying the floor vote that would force the federal government to release everything they have on Epstein. And Johnson is holding that back. So if Maxwell staying in prison is such an important issue for Johnson, then why isn't the Epstein information such an important issue for Johnson? Somebody explain that one to me. And then in the cell where Jeffrey Epstein died, a scene of disarray that never underwent thorough inspection. What is up with this crime, these massive crime scenes? And people go in there and just destroy the crime scene. We just saw it with Charlie Kirk's crime scene. They destroyed it immediately afterward. Now they've paved over it. There's a whole new thing. They basically just built on top of it. And they never investigated the crime scene of the apparent Epstein suicide. Now, look, I'm going to give you a little information here. You know, I went through the BOP. I've been into federal prisons. I've talked to people inside. Let's leave it at that. I had off-the-record conversations, so I'm going to do my best here to continue that commitment. Not going to throw anybody under the bus. But I'll just say this, folks. The people that were at that prison, that were in positions of authority, they are just as spooked and confused as the rest of us. Because they really have no idea what happened. They really don't. They couldn't look at the footage. Nobody saw the footage. Nobody knows what happened to the footage. They have no clue. Now, I don't know what the FBI is doing, putting out the footage that they put out. I guess they're trying to put this thing to bed for some reason. But they really have no idea. They really have no idea. So I think that, you know, Patel and Bongino, with that bug-eyed interview they did with Maria Bartiromo, you know, they probably got to look at it for the first time and said, you know, what the hell? Because that's crazy stuff, man. So they can say we have no evidence that somebody killed Epstein because they don't. And they can look at the report that, you know, clearly indicates somebody broke his neck, but they have no evidence. It's all gone. All the evidence is gone. And the scene, I guess it's not a crime scene if he commits suicide, right? So they mopped it up. So people will get mad at Bongino and Patel and say they're part of the cover-up. But folks, the truth is there's nothing there. Now, they didn't really handle it well. They could have handled it much better. But there was no footage, no eyewitnesses. They had nothing except Epstein dead in a cell with a broken neck. Yeah, if a tree falls in the woods and nobody is there to see it, does it make a sound? If Jeffrey Epstein dies in a prison cell and nobody's there to see it, does he commit suicide? First hour in the books. More news and headlines coming up next.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
I promised I'd play a boy band today. NSYNC or Backstreet Boys? Do you know who this is? Is this NSYNC or Backstreet Boys? Who do you prefer? Do you prefer NSYNC or the Backstreet Boys? Whoa. Don't disrespect the 90s boy bands. It was cool back then. That's not cool anymore. No. No. No, we will not have 90s boy bands disrespected on these airwaves. If you wanted to do it when it was cool, fine. Not anymore. Now they are cool. Now we listen to the 90s boy bands and we admit we like it. Back then we denied it. Now we admit it. Don't bring that in here. I don't want that. I think the Backstreet Boys were just touring. Would you go see the Backstreet Boys concert? Look, if you don't like that music, fair enough. But it's nostalgic at the very least. Different world. The world we grew up in doesn't exist anymore except maybe through the music, through the TV shows, through the movies, through the memories. So pardon me. There's actually an interesting documentary on Netflix about the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and all the corruption that was going on behind the scenes with the producers. Pretty wild stuff, actually. The guy, the manager, the manager for NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys, I forget his name. Somebody will probably tell me in the chat. I forget his name. He's in jail. He's in jail. Most people would say that the Backstreet Boys were better. I would probably agree. But the only person that made it out of the 90s boy band craze is Justin Timberlake, who was with NSYNC. Hanson, you guys are talking about Hanson. Yeah, well, Hanson actually still makes music. Did you know that? They still make music. They still do concerts. And my theory on Hanson is, family band, obviously raised right, big Christians, devout Christians. And it's like, the industry will bring you in if you have talent. Lou Pearlman, that's right. Lou Pearlman is in jail. Crazy documentary on Lou Pearlman on Netflix. Just crazy documentary. If you've ever seen it. But no, Hanson, the industry, if you have talent, they'll bring you in. If you can get a classic immediately like Hanson with Mbop, they'll bring you in. But then if you won't sell out, they're cutting you loose. So you'd be surprised. And I learn this all the time because I just like going and I'm kind of a music buff. Hanson put out like 2 or 3 albums with some really good music and just they never got played on the radio because they're just devout Christians. And if you're the music industry, you really don't care. You say, well, geez, why would they throw Hanson out, this popular band that made them so much money? They don't care. They don't need, there's a ton of bands out there that they can make rich and famous. They pick and choose. And if they see that you have no interest in being satanic, they're not bringing you in. You're not going to get popular. You know how hard that is? All right. Was Brigitte Macron in Hanson at any point? I don't know. She seemed like she could have fit right in there. Brigitte Macron was actually a former lead singer of Hanson, and then she had a sex change. She had a sex change. She went into Hanson. She was one of the band members that was willing to sell out, so she had a sex change and moved to France. No, I'm kidding. So get this, though. A couple weeks ago, it was last month, you may remember she's got this ongoing feud. The Macrons have this ongoing feud with Candace Owens. And a lot of people are misinterpreting the lawsuit and they think it's about the trans thing. It's actually about other things. It has nothing to do with is she a man or a woman? It's other claims that Candace has made. But it all gets lost in translation. So a couple weeks ago, Macrons to offer scientific court evidence to prove Brigitte is a woman, lawyer says. Well, you remember Candace Owens, because you can't trust any of this stuff. I mean, they could just show you any scientific evidence. So Candace was like, I'll sit in a room with you and they can draw blood or however you want to do it, but I'm going to be in the room. We're going to watch all the test results so that we can confirm you're a man or a woman. What the hell is going on? Is it a man or a woman? Good Lord. This is geopolitics now. So anyway, okay, we're going to have scientific evidence. And Candace is like, okay, well, I want to be there in the room. Because, of course, it's the only way you could trust it. And then things kind of quieted down. You're like, well, what are they going to do? Nobody wants to see Brigitte Macron's undercarriage. I don't even know. Do you think Emmanuel Macron even wants to see that? I don't know anybody that wants to see the old Macron family jewels. So it kind of goes quiet. Scientific evidence, huh? So you're thinking, okay, we're going to have a doctor examine, we're going to check it out down there. I don't think it's a mystery. Either you have an intact male part or an intact female part, or you got a butcher job. So, I mean, there's really only 3 options: male, female, or butcher job. Well, they backed off of that. So now apparently Brigitte Macron will reportedly be submitting images of herself pregnant to prove that she is a female. You're only making it worse. I don't know how you can make it better, honestly. There's nothing you can do. You'd have to do the unthinkable. You would. You'd have to do the unthinkable. Just be glad, if you're out there listening, you don't want to put yourself in this position, by the way. You don't want to put yourself in this position. You don't want there to be any confusion. Like, by the way, I'm watching the latest Katie Porter drama. Have you seen this? This woman is having a complete breakdown. Or, man, I don't know what's going on with Katie Porter. Katie Porter, Kyle Porter, who knows? And she keeps having these breakdowns. And she's doing this live shot from her kitchen. And one of her staffers appears in the background. She has a complete breakdown, and then she does it again on air. Katie Porter, Kyle Porter, they're all insane. But my point is, if you're out there listening, you don't want there to be doubt. You don't want there to be any doubt. Are you a man? Are you a woman? You want it to be known for sure. Leave no doubt. So for men, there's some pieces of advice that I can give you. If you're going to have long hair, you're always going to want to have a beard. And if you're going to have long hair and you don't want to do the beard, you better get jacked. You better make sure you got big muscles so people know. And I would avoid tank tops. And if you're a woman, just stay a woman. It's really all you got to do is just stay a woman. There's plenty of butch women out there, but, they're still women. So, okay. So what are we going to have? Where's the photo? I want the photo. I want the photo of Brigitte Macron pregnant. I want the photo of Michelle Obama pregnant. I need it. It's like, it proves nothing. It proves nothing. By the way, you know how many celebrities fake pregnancy? Of course they do. Of course they do. Especially if you're a performer, you're worth tens of millions of dollars. A single performance is worth millions of dollars. You can't take time off from that. There's a whole industry out there making millions of dollars off you. You can't take time off to be pregnant. How dare you? Wasn't it Stevie Nicks who was like, oh, yeah, I'm glad I didn't ever get pregnant because I got to get rich and famous making music. And say, okay, fine, that's your life decision. But hey, let's not be so cold-hearted about women bringing children into the world. That's actually more important than your music career. But okay. If you see an image of Brigitte Macron pregnant, will you be convinced? I guarantee you one thing, Candace Owens won't be. It's like they keep making it worse. They keep making it worse. Candace would have eventually moved on. She might have, peppered in here or there, made a joke about it, whatever. She wasn't going to talk about Brigitte Macron's sausage or snatch, whatever it is. She wouldn't have talked about it forever. And then they sued, and then they pressured the Trump administration. And now they're saying, we're going to provide evidence that it's a woman. And then they just say, hey, we'll show you a picture of her pregnant. That's not scientific evidence. I guarantee you, one of you goofballs that are watching on X right now, we're live on X, we're live on Rumble, we're live on YouTube. One of you goofballs could plug this into an AI image generator and you could make me pregnant. Oh, God. What have I done? What have I done? Please, somebody bail me out. Bail me out. Bail me out. I need a bailout. Blackout coffee. Bail me out. Bail me out. Blackout. Bail me out. This is my third cup today. Thank you, Blackout Coffee. I'm addicted to coffee again. I did get my coffee machine figured out. Do you ever have this happen to you where you buy a new piece of equipment, machinery, technology? I'm a pretty tech savvy guy. I always have been. But man, this coffee machine had me feeling like a moron. It took me like 2 days just to figure out how to make a pot of coffee. I'm not kidding you. It's very sad, actually. It's really embarrassing. But I finally did it. So after going through a bunch of the Blackout Coffee, instant coffee packets, I'm finally able to actually brew a pot and pour myself 3 cups today. Folks, blackoutcoffee.com/Owen, blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. Use coupon code Owen for 20% off your first order at blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. By the way, I want to make sure I get this right. I want to tell you my favorite bag because they sent me all of their different coffee. I already told you the instant coffee is like on the go. Nothing is better. But they have, if you go to their site, blackoutcoffee.com. Let me see if I can, it's the espresso black. There it is. This is their premium coffee right here. The pitch black espresso. The pitch black espresso. My favorite. 5-star reviews. Look at that. Over 1,000 5-star reviews. They ain't lying. They ain't lying. Blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. 20% off your first order. See, you forgot. You forgot That's how good I am. You forgot that I made the idea to make an image of me pregnant. You completely forgot. Now I blew it, but there you go. All right, we do have some other news here. Let's get back into the news. Letitia James indicted by the DOJ. Donald Trump will not be getting a Nobel Peace Prize. Peace deal, Hamas, Israel. We'll see how it goes. Hostages coming home. That'll be the best part of it. If the peace deal doesn't last, let's at least free the people that are just being tortured. That'd be pretty good for humanity, I'd say. Here we go. Democrats block GOP bill to end shutdown. The Finnish president was also in today at the White House, president of Finland. Okay, so the Democrats block the government from opening up again. Can I get a round of applause? Can I get a round of applause for the Democrats on this one? I think we have some. Yeah. I want to give a round of applause here. Round of applause for the Democrats for shutting down the government. I like it. It just feels right. It just feels good. I like that. Government shutdown. Just say it a couple times. Government shutdown. Ooh. We've extended the government shutdown. Ooh, that gets me going. We're going to extend the government shutdown. Oh, we're going to shut down the government. Yeah, nice. Nice. Of course, it's not a real shutdown. It's a fake shutdown, but people will feel it. Look, Trump is remaining quiet about it. The Republicans are mostly remaining quiet about it. Smart move. Smart move. Don't even give the Democrats credit for shutting down the government. Because most people want the government shutdown. Now, this whole political football of government shutdown is not a real government shutdown, but Trump might turn this into slashing a lot of government jobs. He's indicating that's what he's going to do. So I'd love to see that. I think Doge is a dead, Doge was basically dead on arrival. They pushed Musk out of town as fast as they could. So, okay, Doge is a lost cause, I suppose, at least for now. But maybe Trump can use some of the realizations from this government shutdown. Yeah, a lot of this stuff is unnecessary. A lot of these workers are unnecessary. Well, let's just shut it down. So, okay, let's get the air traffic controllers back. Let's get some of these, necessary workers back. IRS, maybe it's time for you to just close your doors, Hakeem Jeffries pushes for military pay amid government shutdown. Oh, they want, because they're about to miss a paycheck after this week. Now the Democrats want single issue bills. I love it. This is what people like Thomas Massey, this is what people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Rand Paul, and many others have been pushing for. Single issue bills. And they always do this, the continued resolution, everything. It's just stack of paper like this. Nobody reads it. They get it on their desk less than 24 hours before they have to vote on it. It's all illegal. It's all against the rules. They just do it anyway. And then they vote on it. They're like, well, crap, look what's in this thing. Golly gee. Single issue bills. One page, one item, one vote. That's how this should be done. But they love it. They love putting that stack on the desk. And quite frankly, most of the politicians love it too. Most of the politicians love it because now they get the excuse. It's like, well, I'm sorry. I didn't know I voted to take away this. I didn't know I voted to do that. It was in this giant bill. I had less than 24 hours to read it. Well, why'd you vote yes then, jackass? Like, well, I didn't know. I mean, I just wanted to fund the veterans. I just wanted to fund the government. Take away their excuses to be corrupt. It's amazing. The Democrats are shutting the government down. Hakeem Jeffries is calling for single item bills. This is great stuff. Department of Homeland Security sees biggest jump in public approval among federal agencies. There hasn't been a federal agency above 50% approval rating, maybe in any of our lives. But 42% now approve of the Department of Homeland Security, up 10% from last year. So people like Kristi Noem, and they like the job that DHS is doing trying to deport criminal illegal aliens. Wow. DHS now might be the most popular branch of the federal government. Maybe Trump knew what he was doing with Kristi Noem. Maybe it's Tom Homan who's really doing the work, but Noem gets in front of the cameras. So there you go. How about that? DHS, the biggest jump in public approval among federal agencies. They like the deportations. And it is arguably the most popular policy of Trump. It is arguably the best success story of the Trump administration. The border being closed and the deportations. Now, some people are complaining about the lack of deportations. Fair enough. But that is the most popular thing going right now. So then why is the governor of Oklahoma against it? Oklahoma's Republican governor criticizes National Guard deployment in Chicago. They're such cowards. These politicians are such cowards. Governor Kevin Stitt of Oklahoma, a Republican and the chairman of the National Governors Association, on Thursday criticized the deployment of the Texas National Guard troops to Illinois as a violation of his beliefs in federalism and states' rights. Well, Kevin, this doesn't affect Oklahoma, so why don't you just sit down and shut up and let the Democrats in Chicago and Illinois complain for you? You're already very unpopular. Governor Stitt is already very unpopular. So now he's even going to be more unpopular. Now, by the way, did you see whoever put that image out? So the Texas National Guard arrived in Chicago, and it was like, did they just pick out the fattest members of the Texas National Guard? Did they just decide they were going to try to picture the fattest people that they could when they were getting out of the government vehicles that they were getting deployed in? I mean, those were big boys. And I don't mean like big, strong. I mean, like those guys look like they just got out of the donut shop. All right. Well, there is one point here, though. Out of control ICE agents yell, "Do something, bitch," before shooting Chicago woman 5 times. The video is in stark conflict with the government's account that federal agents in Broadview were boxed in by 10 cars, and the woman, Miramar Martinez, was one of the drivers. So here's what's going on. And this is where these left-wingers, these liberals, these progressives, these Democrats, all of these groups, and this is why Pam Bondi is such a failure. It was months ago when Pam Bondi and the DOJ said they were going to be going after these groups. And it was right after, if you remember, these groups were throwing rocks, projectiles. They were trying to do harm to these federal agents. And Bondi said, we're launching an investigation. We're shutting it down. RICO. Nothing. Zero. Zilch. Nada. So it continues. So the Democrats have their little activists and all of these groups with the Soros money and everything else. They all have their organization to get people out on the street. So they go out and they confront these agents while they're trying to do the deportations. It's all a grand scheme. And the useful idiots that go out there and try to block the ICE agents, they're the useful idiots that are going to be the ones that ultimately will pay the price. So they're out there and they're disrupting and nobody knows what to do because the local government will not send police. Pritzker, the governor, Johnson, the mayor, said, we're not sending police. So these federal agents, they're not out there with arrest power. They're not out there to deal with criminals on the streets. They're out there to deport these criminal aliens. So these mobs of protesters show up, they box them in, they ram their cars, they throw stuff at them, and they don't know what to do. And that's on the Democrats that allow this to happen, 100%. But see, what I'm afraid of now is, they just said, we're basically hiring anybody, and they gave a nice fat bonus for you. It's a pretty good salary job. You suit up and you go play a part in Trump's deportations. You know that there's people getting in there that are probably just wanting to bash somebody's head in. You know that there's people getting in there that probably don't have the right character to actually do the job above board. So I'm afraid you're going to have, somebody working for ICE that's a little radical themselves, maybe a little racist, maybe a little hopped up. Do they get drug tested? I don't know. Do ICE agents get drug tested? No, my fear is that you're going to run into a situation where one of these ICE agents pops off and something bad happens. Something really bad happens. And I wouldn't even put it past these radical leftists to send somebody in there to infiltrate, to try to do that intentionally, to try to make a scene intentionally. So that's my one fear. The deportations have to happen. They have to prioritize the criminals. Yes, I'm frustrated because we need 20 million deportations. That's probably like a bare minimum, is 20 million. And you're going to have to find creative ways to do it. You're going to have to find ways to get people to self-deport. Yes, you're going to have to find ways to facilitate to give some people a chance to stay here. Doesn't mean they become a citizen, but you're going to have to find creative ways to work this out. But I have a bad feeling you're going to end up in a skirmish, and you're going to have a bad actor because they're just hiring anybody off the streets. It's kind of like that South Park scene, and you're going to have a bad actor that does something bad, does something stupid, and really hurts the operation. And you can say, hey, they've got good leadership and they're training them right, and that might be true, but all it takes is one. All it takes is one. And then what the headlines are going to say. And what the Democrats are going to do. And it won't even matter. They could find out if there was some bad actor that got into ICE and, shot somebody or said a racial slur at somebody, whatever. You could even prove that this was a leftist activist. You could go into their social media history, all of it. You can prove, this was a left-wing agitator. They infiltrated. They did this. And I'm sure ICE is doing everything to filter that and vet people so that they don't. But all it takes is one. And you could prove it, and it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. And you have to understand this about politics, at least the political media. Just because you're informed and you pay attention, you're like 1% of the population, folks. Most people have no idea. Most people have no idea what's going on. So, yeah, they can pull this crap off. They do it all the time. But I have a feeling that there's going to be something bad. Whether it's an actual left-wing group out there trying to start something, or whether it's a left-wing agitator that somehow gets past the vetting process, because all it takes is one. And it's just despicable. It's just despicable that the Democrats would even try to stop this operation. They're such dastardly characters. I'm no fan of Pam Bondi, but Trump had a little cabinet meeting today. And she was talking about specifically who they were getting off the streets. And they picked up some child rapists. They got some illegal alien child rapists, and they picked them up and they arrested them. And these leftist Democrats are fighting to keep child rapists on the streets. They arrested multiple people that had homicides, killers. ICE was able to round up and capture killers and child rapists, and the Democrats are doing everything they can to keep them on the streets. That's unreal. That's unreal, but that's what they do. That's what they do. All right, what else do we got here? All right, we talked about Trump and the Nobel Peace Prize, and I'm like, you have Netanyahu posting and Israel posting, Donald Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. It's so gross. It's so gross. Of course, Israel is licking Trump's boots, and it seems to go both ways. The White House posting the peace president. Please just stop. Just stop with the gaslighting. It's just like, I don't like propaganda. I don't care where it comes from. In fact, you need to understand this about me. A lot of what I do here is counter propaganda. I don't care where it comes from. I don't care who it comes from. We counter propaganda. That's what we do. We call out propaganda and we counter it. This is outright propaganda. Now, that's not to say that President Trump might not genuinely want peace and try to get it done, but just stop it. Just please, the peace president? No. As soon as you got involved in that war in the Middle East, you lost the claim of peace president. You disqualified yourself to get a Nobel Peace Prize. Sorry. It's just true. I'm not going to be sit here and gaslit by some silly graphic that you put out, but I guess that's the MAGA base now. A bunch of politically drooling sycophants that see that and clap like a seal. It's ridiculous. You're insulting our intelligence. The minute that you got directly involved in those wars, you were no longer the peace president, and you disqualified yourself for a Nobel Peace Prize. That is just the truth. And you've got people that are talking about in Israel's final barrage, they're killing and bombing right up to the final buzzer. Kids got killed, everything. Like, I don't know. I don't know if this peace deal really, I don't know, folks. These people haven't been able to live in peace for years. It's generational hate. It's generational hate. It's generational war. It's generational scars. I don't know. I don't know if you can get peace. I don't know if this is going to work. Hope it does. But can't say I got too much faith. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon predicts stock market correction. So here's what you have going on. I told you the markets have been wild. So people think what's happening is AI and tech stocks are just booming. They're just booming. And it's not even like anything that's somehow tied into it, like drones and energy, like anything tied into tech and AI is booming right now. So a lot of these experts are afraid that eventually it's going to crash. Eventually, all the people that are getting huge returns right now, all the people that are getting this huge growth in the tech stocks are eventually going to sell, and it's going to crash the market. Like a dot-com bubble. But it's the AI bubble is what they're calling it. Now, for the most part, it just continues to go up. And for the most part, if you're in the tech stocks, you're doing well. But now Jamie Dimon, others are saying, hey, this thing is getting a little too big. It's got to burst eventually. And then what happens? Well, you'll have the rich people complaining about how they lost all their money, and then they'll pretend like it's an average American's problem. Ferrari stock tumbles. Its Electrica EV reveal was overshadowed by this. Oh, you mean people don't want an electronic sports car? I'm stunned. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that people don't want an electric Ferrari, and now your stock is going down. I will say this, though. These cars are going to be so dangerous. They're going to be so dangerous because it's one thing when you have a fast car and it's heavy. But like, folks, if you look into it, if you look at like Hellcats have some of the highest crash rates. You can go to these like car junkyards. There's whole channels dedicated to this. You can go to these car junkyards where people pick parts or look to buy cars and turn them around. Hellcats everywhere. But the Hellcat is like a heavy car, so it's not as touchy. You start making these sports cars with electric motors that are lightweight. It's kind of like that NFL player Ruggs driving a Corvette Stingray, a lot lighter, and he hits some woman at like 150 or something and sends her 600 yards. Sends her 600 yards. That's a much lighter car. And it's like, if you don't know how to drive these things, if you don't know how to drive a lightweight sports car, you hit that thing, you're out. You could be out of control like that. You start making these things lighter with these electric engines, that's going to be a death trap for people, man. And you're going to have people that have no experience driving sports cars like this. And, it's an electric vehicle. No. That thing will take off like a rocket. And it's so light, you're going to lose control. Area 51 crash mystery deepens as FBI joins investigation into tampering at site. What are we going to get? A big UFO reveal soon? The alien reveal? Aliens versus AI. Is that what we're going to see in 5 years? The U.S. Air Force has confirmed that the FBI is investigating a recent crash of an unspecified aircraft in the Nevada desert near the top secret base Area 51. Unspecified aircraft, huh? The FBI has joined an investigation by the U.S. Air Force over a crash near classified Area 51 after officials say someone tampered with the site. The 432nd Wing stationed at Creech Air Force Base in Clark County, Nevada, said one of its aircraft was involved in an, quote, incident last month. The crash had no fatalities or injuries. The initial crash did prompt the closing of airspace over the base for a few days due to national security concerns. How many people out there listening get into the alien stuff, the UFO stuff, the paranormal stuff? I used to be really into it. I would listen a lot to George Norrie when I was younger. I met George once. Nice guy. He used to do a show out of St. Louis. I don't know if he still does. Or what's that channel on YouTube? It used to be the biggest one for paranormal stuff. I don't know if it still is. It's like Secure Team 10, I believe. They did some interesting work. Definitely weird stuff going on out there. Definitely some weird stuff. Skinwalker Ranch. Yeah, there's some weird stuff. When are they going to mainstream it, you know? When are they going to mainstream it? You know they're going to. You know they're going to mainstream aliens and the paranormal eventually. Americans can't stop betting parlays. Sports books are cashing in. Are you a gambler? You know, a little sports gambling, I think, is fun. A little sports gambling is fun, but this, it's true. The parlays are the biggest cash grab. I always tell people, why do you do these parlays? You lose 98% of the parlays. And you think, well, if I hit that one parlay, it'll pay for the other ones that I lost. No, it won't. That's why Vegas does the parlays. That's why the gambling industry does the parlays. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, how many people in this audience are betting parlays? How many people in this audience are making bad bets? Do we need to step in? Do we need to fix this? Do we need to stop you from making a bad bet? So, we might have to. We might have to do some gambling segments. Because I can't have this. I can't have you in my audience making bad bets. I can't have that. I need you making winning bets so that you can buy Blackout coffee, so that you can buy a shirt from OwenSchroyer.store. I need you making winning bets. So we might have to do some gambling segments here. We just might have to diversify, or maybe we'll do a separate broadcast entirely for that. Maybe that's what we'll do. Speaking of the sports world, Turning Point USA targets NFL Bad Bunny with All-American Super Bowl halftime show. That's all we have on this right now. I don't know where it goes from here. As soon as I get any information, I do know what they were trying to do, but I don't know what they ended up doing. So whenever I know exactly what it is they're up to, I will let you know. But I guess they have confirmed that they're going to do a halftime show to counter the Bad Bunny halftime show. So, okay, yeah, it's an interesting idea. There hasn't been a good halftime show since, I don't even know when. The Rolling Stones, maybe? When I was, was I probably 8th grade or so? Seeing Janet Jackson's breast was kind of fun. That was a pretty good time for a kid to see that. So I guess I'll count that as a win. The Janet Jackson breast exposure, which was totally planned, obviously. They acted like it was a wardrobe malfunction. What a joke. They did it intentionally. Didn't she have like an album coming out that month or something too, I think? Yeah, something like that. So, okay. Oh, wardrobe malfunction. We ripped Janet Jackson's breast out for everybody to see. Oops. Like he literally grabs it and rips it and it has the little thing on it. Oops. A lot better than Bad Bunny. I'll take Janet Jackson's breast 100 times over Bad Bunny, who apparently is going to be performing in Spanish. The Weeknd, I guess, was all right. I don't know. The Weeknd show was interesting, but it's all like this big production now. It's like, dude, just put a stage out there and let a band rip. That's all we know. That's all we want. That's all you need. And they do this big grand production as if the Super Bowl isn't long enough. It's like the Super Bowl. Actually, you know what it is? The Super Bowl is actually the worst game of the year. If you're a football fan, if you watch football, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The football game that I least want to watch is the Super Bowl. It's obnoxious. It's filled with ads and propaganda. It ends up going like 5 hours. It's like, okay, fun. You get a group of people together, you hang out, you have some fun, you eat some food, you drink, whatever. It's like, I'm all for the social event, fine. But if I'm talking about watching a football game, the last game I want to watch is the Super Bowl. Because half the time you're just watching ads. And now you're going to watch Bad Bunny. Do you think he's going to do some he's probably going to make a political statement aside from just speaking Spanish. They're probably going to do some anti-ICE, anti-American thing. Why did Jay-Z do this? It's just so obnoxious. They should have never let Jay-Z take over the Super Bowl halftime show. They blew it. That's what it is. Because now he just promotes his own record labels and promotes his own people. You'll probably never have a white Super Bowl halftime show performer ever again. It's ridiculous. Let me give you a free word of advice here. Stage, rock band. That's it. Stage and let a rock band rip like 5 hits. That's all you got to do. That's all you have to do. It'll take 15 minutes. Put a damn stage out there and let a rock band rip 5 hits. No, it's got to be this big production. It's got to be a big, somehow a political statement, a cultural statement. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's more important than the game. Oh, the Bush political dynasty. Jonathan Bush has announced that he is officially running for governor of Maine in 2026. He's the nephew of George H.W. Bush and the cousin of President W. Bush. The Bush political dynasty still has a beating heart. It's still there. So Jeb Bush, we thought Jeb Bush was the end of it. We thought certainly Jeb Bush with the please clap. Jeb Bush, low energy Jeb. He's low energy Jeb. He can't win. He can't win. Look at him. He's low energy. Can barely play 9 holes of golf. He cries. He cries like a little baby at the turn. Played golf with Jeb one time. We got to the 9th green, and we finished our putts, and Jeb looked up, and he said, wow, what a fun time. What a great game. I said, Jeb, it's 18 holes, Jeb. We play 18 holes. I don't know how you do it where you're from, but we play 18, okay? And Jeb started crying like a little bitch. And he went to the clubhouse, and he said he was going to get a hot dog. Well, actually, he said wiener is what he said, so I don't know what he was really doing there. He disappeared into the locker room, and we never saw Jeb again. I said, Jeb, it's 18 holes. He played 9, and then he went to see a wiener. So now the Bush, they're trying. Do you think Jonathan Bush can win the governor of Maine? Do you think he can pull it off? Dominion Voting sold to company run by ex-GOP election official. Dominion Voting Systems, the voting machine behemoth that President Trump and his allies baselessly attacked after the 2020 election. Baselessly attacked. Yeah, baselessly attacked. The 2020 election was totally normal. Nothing to see here. So Liberty Vote purchased Canada-based Dominion for an undisclosed sum, according to a person familiar with the transaction. Liberty Vote is owned by Scott Leyendecker, who in 2011 created a software program focused on enabling election workers to verify voters and check them in at polling stations. According to Leyendecker's LinkedIn page, his company, which has been called No Inc., but is changing its name to Liberty Vote, has more than 150 employees and $55 million in annual revenue. $55 million in annual revenue. How could they afford to purchase Dominion Systems, which claimed that they were worth billions in their lawsuits? Weren't their settlements worth billions? Matt Blunt, who was then Missouri's Republican Secretary of State, appointed Leyendecker to a role investigating St. Louis elections administration after the 2000 election. You know, there's a simple solution to all of this. Very simple solution. One person, one vote. One person, one voter ID, one paper ballot, one vote. That's it. Why is this so hard? Why is this so hard? Hey, by the way, have you guys seen this? It's all over X. I think it started, I think it was Jack Posobiec started this. But I saw it. It's still going on today this is Will Chamberlain. He says, I saw a leftist assassinate Charlie Kirk, and I saw many more leftists celebrate his death. Well, there's no doubt the leftists celebrated his death. Nobody's denying that. We did all see that. But I am a little confused. when they say, I saw a leftist assassinate Charlie Kirk. Well, what have you seen? Because nobody else has seen that. So I'm just curious if they've seen something that we haven't seen, because nobody has seen anything. We saw the gruesome scene of Charlie and everything in the aftermath, but nobody's seen a leftist pull a trigger. Nobody's seen a leftist take the shot. So unless they're seeing something we're not, what do you mean you saw a leftist assassinate Charlie Kirk? Who, when? When did you see that? Where did you see that? Nobody else has seen that. Where are you seeing that? Because as far as I can tell, they intentionally edited the security footage so that you couldn't see it, which would be the undeniable proof if they had it. So that makes me think they don't have it. But I guess I'm just thinking too much. I guess I've had too much to think. So maybe I should calm down, because I've had too much to think. That one seems kind of obvious, though, doesn't it? I saw a leftist assassinate Charlie Kirk. Well, what have you seen? Nobody else has seen it. What have you seen that we haven't seen? And if you've seen something we haven't seen, would you mind sharing it with us? We'd like to know. You seem to be the only ones that have seen it. Nobody else has seen it. What have you seen? I saw a guy running across the roof less than 3 seconds after the shot was taken. I saw a grainy image of somebody jumping off a roof with, I don't know what he had in his bag or anything. I don't know. That's what everybody else has seen. What have you seen? Interesting. Very interesting how that's happening. But not here, folks. And if I did see that, I'd share it with you. And I'm not discounting that could be the case. I'm not discounting a leftist could have done this. I'm not convinced that Robinson did it. I'm quite convinced that he didn't, quite frankly. Could still be a leftist. Wouldn't surprise me. But I haven't seen that. So what do you mean you've seen that? What do you mean you saw that? I'd like to know what you've seen. You know what? I don't even, because this whole thing is so toxic. I really don't even like going into it anymore. But I keep seeing that popping up. I'm just like, I'm confused. I'm like, well, what have you seen? What do you mean you saw it? What did you see? We saw the horrific, what happened, but we didn't see a leftist take a shot. Nobody saw that. It's really strange. The whole thing is so toxic. I can't help but wonder, because Jack Posobiec was just at the White House yesterday, and he told President Trump he's scared for his life. Jack Posobiec said he's scared he's going to get assassinated. And so, hey, you can't blame him. I mean, anybody that's doing public speaking right now that may have an enemy in the left, they might be afraid of that. Or maybe anybody that has any political enemy might be afraid of that. Seems to be the season. But it's like, what would you want if it was you? What would you want if it was you? Would you want your friends, your family to accept the government narrative, even if it made no sense? Would you want your allies in the media to go with the official narrative, even if it made no sense? Is that what you would want if it was you? Obviously a tricky, very twisted question. I don't think I'd like that. I think I'd want people on the deal like hound dogs. I think I'd want people going crazy. Yes, going crazy. So they say, oh my gosh, Candace has gone crazy. Like, yeah, well, you know what? If I got shot and bled out like that in broad daylight, I think I'd want people around me to go pretty crazy too, actually. And then I'd want them to go even crazier if they felt that they were being lied to. Maybe that's just me. But I don't know. Feel like that's what I'd want. That's probably what I would want. All right, we're about to close out the second hour here. We're going to open up the phone lines in the third hour. That's what we will be doing next. Taking your calls. Folks, remember, if you don't have emergency food supplies, now is the time. And especially over at mypatriotsupply.com/Owen, because the winter special is only going to be limited time. And this winter special not only comes with all kinds of emergency preparedness food items, but the special item here is the space heater that doesn't use electricity. You heard me right. The Vesta off-grid space heater from our friends at My Patriot Supply is a space heater that does not use electricity. It runs on canned heat, which is an indoor safe fuel. And now with a Vesta stashed in your closet, you know you can keep warm no matter what. Bad winter storm, power goes out, maybe you don't have a fireplace, you're going to want to have the Vesta space heater. Not only can it keep you warm, it also doubles as a stove to boil water or cook food. You got to think about that. So a very unique item right now offered in the winter package at mypatriotsupply.com/Owen. But this sales package is not going to last forever. So get it while the sale is hot at mypatriotsupply.com/Owen. Got to have emergency food supplies, folks. It's a no-brainer. All right. 2 hours in the books. We are going to open up the phone lines coming up here. We take a short break. Phone lines open on the other side.
Sport on the Win Network.
You. They did it. I knew you would too. I knew you would do this to me. I blame myself. I knew you guys were going to do this to me. I probably could have predicted who. Here we go. Oh boy. I did it to myself. Yeah. Owenly fans. I have no affiliation. I have no affiliation. But there it is. You see? You see? You see how easy it is to prove that you're a woman? Me and Brigitte Macron, both women now. Oh, oh. You just had to, didn't you? You just had to do that. All right. Okay, phone number to call in 747 250 Let me get it up on the board for y'all. There we are on the screen. 747 250 is the number to call in. Remember, it's line to line. So when I pick up, I ask you your name, where you're from, but you are on the air. So I'm screening the calls essentially live on the air. So when you give us a call, just know that you are live. 747 255 And anything you want to talk about is fair game. We'll take any call. So apparently, gold is hitting highs, silver is hitting highs. I think we'll be able to help you out with that coming up soon, hopefully. All right, first caller of the day. What's your name? Where are you from? Veronica from Arizona. Go ahead. I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. I know that you're not alone. I know that you're not alone. And the way I figure it is there's gonna have to be. In fact, hold on a second. Hold on a second, Veronica. We gotta fix an audio issue here. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Sorry, we didn't have your call. Veronica was expressing concern over what happened to Charlie. I'm in a holding pattern. I feel like they have to give us more information. Eventually, they're going to have to give us more information, and I don't know if that's going to make anything better. I don't know if it's going to make it better or worse. But you feel like eventually they're going to have to give us more information. I don't think that they can just walk away from this thing and say case closed. Obviously, Robinson is trying to deny it and declare his innocence, which is another strange thing that people keep saying, oh, he admitted it. He admitted it. Well, no, he didn't actually. He turned himself in, which could have been for other reasons, but he did not admit it.
He did not admit it, and just the false narrative around the fact that they keep saying that he has confessed. He clearly has not. And I'm just so concerned that is this just another in your face? Are they going to blunder and botch this whole investigation with intent, like as another way to try to prod, you know, the conservatives into some sort of an action? It just feels just so intentional at this point that they don't know any other way to get us over the edge, and so maybe this way, publicly assassinate somebody that's just so moderate and easygoing fella, and then botched everything from a justice perspective. It feels. It already feels like a setup, and it just feels like it's just even more of a setup that we'll never see justice. And and once again, that we're always the forgotten man. And even though Charlie was a very public person, that they'll just let this happen, like they've just let so many other things slide. It feels like they're needling us all the time.
Well, we still got questions about the two attempted assassinations of Donald Trump. That people are very suspicious about what's going on with that. So I don't know. I think right now we have to wait and see what comes out of this investigation next. If there's nothing, then it's only going to make things worse. But as far as you're concerned, as far as will we ever know what really happened, you're not alone in that. And the whole thing, I think people are just kind of looking at it and just saying there's a lot of questions. It just doesn't feel right. And it's a little close to home. This one is a little close to home. So that's why I was just like, this thing is so toxic, folks. It's you see the stuff that's happening in public. There's other stuff that's happening behind the scenes. It's just the whole thing is so tragic and so toxic. And then, I guess you could say, well, there's no doubt that the people that are really leaning into this investigation themselves are under a lot of scrutiny and a lot of attack as well. But at the same time, they're also the ones that are drawing the biggest audiences now, which tells me that people are genuinely curious and concerned. But all of that is going on. Yeah, that thing is so toxic, man. It's toxic. Next caller, what's your name? Where are you from?
Hi, this is Amanda from Nebraska.
Yes, hi, Amanda.
Hi, I guess I just wanted to call because I haven't heard a whole lot of people talking about it, but have you gone down the rabbit hole of Erica Kirk?
No,
And her past?
I'm not going to comment on the Erica
No?
Kirk. No, it's
All right.
she's a new widow. I don't think anybody really knows anything. Look, people want to do it. It's a free country. Do your independent
Right.
investigation. Reach your conclusions. I'm not going to do that here. I'm not going to do that here. Maybe
Right.
sometime.
Well-
Maybe sometime. But I'm not going to do that here.
All right. Well, it definitely puts a new spin on things. It's an interesting rabbit hole to go down. The people's voice is definitely not letting it go, and I highly recommend it. If we want the truth, we got to go, go down all the rabbit holes because we're not going to
Amanda,
get the
yeah,
truth from any of the agencies.
I've been down all the rabbit holes. I've been down all of them, and they're all just as weird as the next.
Right.
So what I've
The other
learned,
thing,
what I've learned when things like this happen and nothing makes sense, and you go down all these different rabbit holes, it's just like you don't want to swing and miss. You don't want to swing and miss at a curveball in the dirt. You want to swing at the pitches that you know you can hit. And right now, everything is out of the zone. So if anything
it's
anything,
isn't it?
if anything is ever in the zone, I'll take a swing at it. But right now, the zone is tight. There's no strikes, so I'm in a holding pattern until there's something I can swing at. And maybe
And
eventually,
I respect that for sure.
maybe eventually the FBI or the DOJ or local law enforcement, maybe they'll give us something. But there's too many things in the air. There's too many pitches in the dirt. So it's just too toxic. I don't want to get into it. I see what people are going through that are really leaning into it. And look, I have no problem hosting debates. I have no problem hosting debates, and I have no problem talking to other people, and I have no problem taking the calls. But, I did the thrust of my coverage and asked my questions and reached my conclusions, and now I'm just kind of waiting. Now I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens next.
Well, I just want to say I've been listening to you for a while, and you and me are pretty much lockstep in our thinking, and I just want to thank you and congratulate you on the show. And the other rabbit hole is Susie Wiles working on Netanyahu's campaign in 2020. Now she is running the White House, and we wonder why Israel is calling all the shots.
Huh. Well, I don't know who's really wondering that.
I'm just, nobody's really talking about her working for Netanyahu, and now, she's basically a double agent in my view, So that's just my conspiracies today, and I just congratulate you on your show, and just please keep it up.
Thank you, Amanda. Well, Trump did say that Susie Wiles is the most powerful woman in the world, and there's no doubt she is the one. I don't know if it's fair to say running the White House. But, she's, for all intents and purposes, running it, at least the gatekeeper for it. I don't even know if I want to go here, but I guess I will. It's the reason I don't want to go here is because this is not a complaint. Believe me. I like kind of being isolated from things. I like doing my own thing. I like being as independent as possible. And at the same time, maintaining good relationships throughout the political world, which that's pretty much where I'm at. I've got good relationships with pretty much everybody in the conservative world, certainly in the MAGA world, big names, small names. I've got a good relationship with pretty much everybody. But at the same time, You're never going to see me at the White House. You're never going to see me at the White House. You're never going to see me getting invited to any of these events. I'm not going to get any access. And again, it's like I want to be careful what I say here because I'm very comfortable in the place that I'm in. I don't want to schmooze in DC. I've done that. It's not fun. I don't like it. I'm not into that. I like my life in Austin. Okay? And I like having my own independent show here with you. This is what I like. I'm very happy with what I'm doing. So this is not a complaint. But let's just put it like this. There is nobody in the media. I would challenge anybody listening to this to find anybody in the conservative media, specifically the Trump-supporting media. I challenge anybody to put forth a resume that's better than mine. You won't see it. I created an entire genre of owning and destroying Trump protesters online on YouTube. I created that genre. I did that. We got billions of views doing that. That was a game changer. I was censored from all major platforms. I was arrested. I've been arrested 4 times for supporting Donald Trump. I've been sued countless times. I've lost track of how many times I've been sued. I spend more money than I make on these lawsuits. And I think the 1776 Law Center, by the way, my legal team, the official legal team of the Owen Report, the 1776 Law Center, who represents me now, does a great job. So, I mean, who has the resume that Owen Schroyer has? Created an entire genre of owning the Trump protesters, sued countless times, arrested 4 times, imprisoned, attacked, death threatened, swatted, doxxed. I check every single box, and there will never be an invite for Owen Schroyer. There will always be a gatekeeper to make sure Owen Schroyer does not get in. And you know what? I've got some other stuff that I could talk about with that, but I'm going to wait and see how bad it really is. But again, I'm okay with it. I don't want to go to DC. I'm very happy with my life in Austin. I'm very happy just having my own thing and being independent and staying away from it all. I'm very happy with it. So part of me is like, I'm kind of glad because it makes me like, oh, I'm the real badass here. But it's just, there is nobody. There is nobody. Nobody has my rap sheet. I mean, honestly, Alex Jones' resume, Roger Stone's resume, General Flynn's resume, probably about it. And then there were a couple people that got sued and arrested, obviously, with January 6th and Tina Peters. So there's other people out there. But I check every box. I've suffered and I've put as much into this game to get Donald Trump elected multiple times as anybody else out there. And there will always be people making sure I never get access, ever, to anything. So I maybe in the future I'll tell more about that. But again, I'm not complaining. I like it. That's why I don't talk about it. I like being on the outside. So, next caller, what's your name? Where you're from?
Jason, Ohio.
What's up, Jason?
Hey, how's it going?
All right, buddy. What's on your mind?
I just want to kind of point out that I think most of everything going on is just a distraction from this digital currency they're trying to suck us into. And, I think Israel has been the most attacked by Satan ever, and that's what we're seeing is it'll never stop until God returns. And, it's just all a distraction so they just put us in this digital cave.
Well, I think that you're on to something with that, and it's more than just the digital currency. They're trying to build a worldwide AI quantum surveillance grid. That's what they're doing.
Oh, absolutely. It's 9 or 12 countries. I can't remember it right now, but I mean, it's in the news. And, whatever's coming is pretty big. I mean, it's, the markets are false. There's no way it's, they are what they are. I mean, who has money to invest in them like they are when everybody's broke?
Well, there was well, here's what happened with that. what the damage that was done to our economy during COVID is never going to be. They'll never be able to fix it. And you know that was such a massive transfer of wealth, and so that's what you're looking at. It was a huge transfer of wealth. The rich got more rich than they ever have in that transfer of wealth. And I know people. I happen to actually know people that took advantage of it and got fabulously wealthy. But that's what it was.
Yeah, the dishonest people. I mean, that's who jumped in. I mean, because it wasn't the normal guys thinking, well, I can get rich now. You know, I mean, it's how can I get in this crooked stuff? And I mean, I think as for Trump, I think he was a setup the whole time. You know, because Hillary could have never pulled this stuff off.
You wonder that,
don't
you? You wonder that.
We were mad at Hillary at the time. Now we're mad at each other. So I mean, there's got to be an equation in there somewhere. And you know, I hate to say it. I mean, I keep trying to give Trump the benefit of the doubt, but I mean, it's just nothing but chaos. And
well, you can't blame Trump for everything, right? And look, I'm plenty critical of Trump. I don't think anybody would claim I'm a Trump cheerleader at this point. So I'm plenty critical of Trump. But at the same time, I will at least say, hey, we're still in the first quarter. You know, there can be a redemption run. There can be a comeback here. But yeah, so far, this administration is, I mean, a C, maybe at best a C, I'd say.
It's an F minus because I mean, he had it. We gave him COVID and said, okay, you fell for it. All right. No big deal. But how can you fall this many times for something? I mean, it's just, I mean, either that or, but he keeps surrounding himself with the dumbest of people that could be, you know, how do you bring the people that stole the election from you in the office and sit right there next to them?
I guess I could reason with that because it's like he has to, you know. I mean, he has to deal with these people.
Here's a question: would you have expected anything we're seeing after a 2017 inauguration?
Well, what do you mean specifically?
His speech at 2017 inauguration speech. Would you expect any of what's going on from Trump?
That's kind of that's an odd way to phrase the question. I get what you're saying. I would say if you listen to the 2017 inauguration speech, President Trump has fallen massively short of those expectations.
And it's simple. I don't care what he's up against. Just come out to the American people and say, look, here's what's going on. It's still a pit. You know, I need your help, America. You know, because I guess the way I kind of feel right now is Israel's got something on Trump. Ukraine had something on Biden, and we're stuck in the middle of whatever they've got on either one of them. I mean, I don't know. I mean, how else do you explain?
Well, but this is the problem. What you've just exhibited here is the perfect depiction of the problem we're facing. When nothing makes sense, because nothing makes sense, right? Nothing makes sense right now. So you're like, okay, nothing makes sense. So then what are you doing? In your own head, you're trying to make sense of things. So this is what happens. And this is the problem. And they say, oh, you know, you're a conspiracy theorist, or you're no longer MAGA, or you're this or you're that. And you're like, hold on a second. I'm trying to make sense of things. So it's just like if you want to accept the nonsensical, if you want to live in a world of propaganda and lies and consume that and be that, then okay, that's you. But no, you're simply trying to make sense of the nonsensical, and then you're somehow weird. You're weird because you want to figure out how things really work and what's really going on.
Right. And you know, I mean, it just keeps, I mean, none of us would make this dumbest of mistakes. I mean, that's the question, you know. I mean, we're in a spiritual war. You better believe it. Satan's dragging this country down. I mean, that's what it boils down to. I mean, it is 100%. I will send a great confusion that they would follow a lie, you know? So, I mean, it's Trump. I voted for him because of his business background, and we're starting to see the question in that even. that his business might not have been up and up. Now, I mean, if I put $1,000 on a turd and somebody was willing to pay $1,000 for a turd, hey, I'll sell them the turd. But I think that's what Trump was doing, selling turds for $1,000. You know, I mean, I hate to say it, but he doesn't look like the smartest of businessmen to me anymore. I mean, he might have ripped a couple people off.
Well, I kind of have the same approach, let's say, policy towards, Patel, Bongino, and Trump in a way. Look, they're in charge of their own destiny. And their own legacy. I don't think you're going to do any better. I don't think we can do any better. At least right now, we're not going to do any better than Trump, Patel, and Bongino. I just don't see it. I think that's as good as it's going to get. So you got to ride it out is the way I look at it. We got to ride it out to the finish line. We got to finish the administration with these guys. These are our guys, and they're in charge of their own legacy. So, I'm not in control of their legacy. I can do commentary. We might influence it. We might affect it. But at the end of the day, they're in charge of their legacy. So if they want their legacy to be saving the country, draining the swamp, arresting the deep state, and everything else that follows, building the economy, then they can do that. And if they want anything short of that, then that's what their legacy is going to be. So we're in the first quarter of this administration. Comebacks can happen. But, yeah, right now it's not. It's not. It's not what we wanted.
Here's the positive out of this, though. Because if Trump is not with us, for some reason, and I have to question it, whether he is or not. If he's not, there will be nobody that trusts his government for 100 years, which will be the best thing that ever happened to this country.
Well, that's one way to look at it. But I think I think we're already there is the problem. I don't think anybody trusts. The government approval rating is low. Nobody likes what the government doing. Nobody likes the government. The government sucks. It's corrupt. It's unconstitutional. It's evil. And that's the problem. It's like we just want somebody to end it. It's like, please, Trump, just end this evil government, end this corrupt government. And it's just, here we go. Still not there. Next caller, what's your name? Where you from?
Hey, what's up? My name is Dom. I'm from Texas.
All right, Dom, what's on your mind?
Hey, first, I appreciate you doing everything that you're doing, going independent. I think you represent a lot of what young men are feeling these days, especially, I don't know, mid 20s to like upper 30s or something like that. And I think those people are being skipped. I think you were saying it in your past stream that we are essentially being skipped over, our voice taken from us, and giving us all of these situations that are taking us from what originally happened, which was the core start was in 2020, and giving us all these new things when we're like still trying to recover. But the young men, people our age, are not afraid to say to both sides that they are absolutely both insane at this point. We don't want gender studies in our school. We don't want religion in our school. How about we just learn the basics? How about we go back to the basics? How about we get people in the government, in our local government? And the question that I have is, like, can anyone even get into politics anymore and not be corrupted or like blackmailed or whatever the hell is going on over there right now?
I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I would say it's really hard. I would say it's really hard.
Yeah, because we're already in the digital era, so every person now that is growing up has to realize and take into account that every move that you make is being watched. And you are already dirty before you get there. So we have to teach these new young men that you got to either get really damn good at tech or come out squeaky clean, because no matter what, you're going to get crucified for it. Or maybe you just got to fall on the sword these days and just take it and call it out anyways. So I feel like we're in a really weird predicament in the world right now. And it's like the whole world is blackmailed at this point.
You do wonder that, right? Because if somebody wanted to, they could. If somebody wanted to, they could blackmail you off of your internet activity. So it's like, of course that's possible. So is it happening?
Absolutely, it's happening. It's only going to get worse.
Your cameras, your home security cameras, your computer cameras, your cell phone
Even
cameras?
if it's not happening to the point that we think it is, maybe the technology is not all the way there yet. There's a story, I don't remember what it is, but it's basically like you feel like it's happening, so it makes those people not want to do anything, not want to stand up, not want to make a voice. And then what we get as a result is all these just crazy, true, I mean, you don't have to go down the rabbit hole to see the world is totally corrupt on both sides right now. And we're just getting these crazy stories that get ran off with in the public, and we can't even answer our basics anymore. And it's really frustrating as a 32-year-old. And good, but anyways, I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing, because I think that you're a voice, and hopefully that sentiment can start getting out there, because people like us, we can kind of relate to both sides, but both sides are dead wrong right now anyways.
Well, it doesn't seem it doesn't seem like, I think the feeling is it just doesn't feel like anybody's fighting really for American interest. There's no unified front in D.C. for America's interest. There's just not. There might be sometimes on the Republican end of things, maybe, but then the Democrats stand in the way. So I've found that I resonate. You talk about 30s, 20s. I feel like I represent that age group. And you can't make a blanket statement. I'm not claiming to represent anybody, but I do feel like the things I think, the things I say, the things I care about is pretty much where the average, really probably under 40 American is, maybe under 50. But that's the response I get. That's the response I get when I'm out in public is, hey, I think exactly like you. I see and I hear, and I'm seeing and hearing the same things like you. It's like you reading my mind. I'm like, yeah, I think this is, I just represent the average American's voice, the average American's thoughts. I just put it out there in a news coverage show. Next caller, what's your name? Where are you from?
Hello.
Yes, what's your name?
Johnny
Where are you from?
and Shirley. John.
John? I think we were struggling with a phone there. Sounded like a real struggle session there. John, I hope you're all right. Next caller, what's your name? Where are you from?
Hey, Owen. My name is Bill from Arizona.
All right, Bill, go ahead.
First off, thanks for your show. Well overdue, man. Very proud of you. Quick thing on the H-1B abuse. This thing's been going on for at least 35 years. And just at all levels, how it's attacking us more than just this claim that, they need smart people. For college kids, my son's friend went to a table at a job fair, and asked about an IT job, and the guy looked at her and said, "Oh, do you speak Hindi?" Meanwhile, she's a white girl with blonde hair. And that's just one level. And then you have seniors between the age of 44 and 55, and people forget that another element of this is all the mergers and acquisitions. I mean, it wasn't long ago before Microsoft was sued for bundling their browser with the operating system or having a Microsoft phone. Now, all of a sudden, you have all these companies merged, which means that all the senior level IT jobs are gone. So if a company that should be 12 companies is one company, you have one HR department, one staff, and that's a lot of mid-level jobs. So you have a whole bunch of people between the age of 44, 55, 60 that are just thrown into the market. And then another thing is the application process. And I've been a hiring manager for 30 years, and I saw this evolve. You have DEI applicants. They flood jobs, and you see it on LinkedIn all day. 100 people applied, 40 people applied,
and they
was
give
never
you
like that.
They give you this like federal grant. There's like federal money waiting out there. Like, hey, if you hire a gay person or you hire a this person or that person, then these federal funds can kick into your business. So there's a federal angle to try to promote this stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, I do think the Trump administration claimed to put an end to it. I don't think it's. I think it's a work. I think it's effort to put an end to it. They're definitely trying, but it still goes on.
Oh, absolutely. And working with thousands of these people, there's no way that these people can claim that, oh, nobody else can do it. I've had my manager tell me, hire this guy from India, because it'll be easier for your life, Bill. You don't have to worry about calling him in the middle of the night and him saying, oh, he can't answer the phone, or wanting to go on vacation, or if he has a kid and he takes maternity leave. He goes, you get the Indian guy. He fears for his job. You call him in the middle of the night. He's like, damn, I might get deported. He works for half the money. And he's like, just trust me, just do it. I mean, it's at all levels.
And then they send the money overseas because the dollar is still strong, and so they can send the money overseas to their family.
Absolutely.
And then
we don't told me
we don't
he yelled at me for going
repatriate
to the movies.
We don't repatriate or tax those, which we should be doing. We should be taxing. If you send money overseas, if you come here to work and you're sending money overseas, I'm dead serious. We should be taxing it 50%.
Absolutely. And that one Indian guy told me, he's like, why do you go to the movies? You can get them online for free. And I'm like, that's the problem. You come here, you don't spend money in our economy. You send it home. You're dead on right.
Yeah, that's what goes on. And look, I mean, the whole thing about, people pirate everything on the internet. I guess that really became mainstream after Napster. It's funny that you bring that up. This is kind of just an aside here. A couple things that you said there, because I had a friend in town last week. You're kind of catching up, and a couple things happened relevant to what you said. One, we ordered. I don't ever order any food to my house like that for some obvious reasons. But he was like, "Oh, let's order some food." I was like, "Oh, okay, you can order some food here," and he ordered food here. And he's from St. Louis. They don't have this problem. This is a big city Texas problem mostly. But the delivery people here don't speak English. They don't speak a lick of English. So he's on the phone trying to get this food delivered, and I can tell immediately. I'm like, yeah, you're talking to somebody that doesn't speak English. That was a whole thing. Until you've actually experienced that, and maybe some of you have. I know it's really bad in Texas. It's really bad in California. It's probably decently bad in Chicago and New York, but I don't think it's nearly as bad as it is down here in the southern border states. Folks, you'll get people, a ride share, food delivery, whatever. They don't even speak English. And so you're on the phone with them and you're trying to tell them what house number, the gate code, you can't even communicate. It's like, how frustrating is that? Oh man, what was the other thing you said? Now I forgot the other point that I was going to make that we experienced here recently that was in relation to your call. Hold on, I still got you on the line. What was the other thing you said? Because I'm drawing a blank.
I talked about different things with college kids not being able to get in, seniors not getting jobs because of the mergers and acquisitions, the DEI applicants, flooding the jobs and putting that they're black from India. So when HR filters them down, they down selected to 30
no, it
people
wasn't that.
people.
Darn it. When you have that, when you have that brain fart and you get, it's right there. I just had it. Oh, that's all right. It'll come back to me, or maybe he'll reach out. But man, it was something else you said. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I literally just experienced both of those things just last week. The food delivery guy that couldn't speak English. And then what was the other one? This is going to drive me crazy. So instead of me driving you crazy too, let's just take the next caller. What's your name? Where you're from?
Hello, my name is Bradley Chalmers.
All right, Bradley, what's on your mind?
Well, the reason I'm calling is I started following Owen back when he started at his last job, and that inspired me to lead the protests against the child drag shows in Edmonton, Alberta. Now, prior to this, I started a group called Fathers' Rights Edmonton, helping people going through family court. Now, that ended up transpiring into me starting a third-party election advertiser, Family Guys, Family Law Reform. And because I held the protest against the drag time, the child and adult drag performer stories, which I can elaborate on, in Edmonton, that was one of the reasons I was the only person in Alberta in the major cities not arrested for that.
Because you were in Edmonton?
Well, no, it was because what I did was I started a third-party election advertiser, also known as a TPA, and what that did was kind of gave me a bit of political cover. I mean, I live in China, part of my joke there, but
China, I've never heard that one. China.
Yeah, China.
That's good.
Like, it's. I mean, there's more stories I can go into, brother. But I have been like some stories I don't even want to tell you, just because I don't want you to think I'm not a man of sane mind. But I've been a supporter of Owen, and InfoWars happened, and I can't. My loyalty's always been with Owen. He's just so honest.
Hold on. You're on the air with me right now. I am Owen.
Oh no, shit. No, I actually didn't know that. I thought it was like talking to Owen.
I know.
I'm talking.
Yes, people always. I don't have a call screener. I just take the calls live. So as soon as you're on the air, you're here. You're with Owen Schroyer right now. I heard you say that the first time. I was like, wait a second, I'm going to let him go. But then you said it again.
Owen, oh my gosh. Okay, give me a sec to compose myself here. So Owen, yeah, you inspired me. So I live in the Texas of Canada, Edmonton, Alberta. I ran the drag show, the protest against drag queen story time. They started at the Edmonton Library. I held a protest. Someone put out a cigarette on my neck, and there's a police investigation launched, and they stopped drag queen story time at all Edmonton City public libraries.
They burned a cigarette on your neck? Do you have a scar from that?
Oh yeah. I
These
send
bastards.
you pictures like
these bastards. Did you ever see Big Time? Did you ever see Big Time out there? You know what I'm talking about?
No, I unfortunately I don't.
Yeah, you got to find Big Time. Oh man, I forget his name. It's something bigger is his name, but he's a roofer. Big Time Roofing guy is hilarious. He used to crash drag queen shows all the time up there.
Yeah. I really tried to play it somewhat politically correct, because I'm a single father. Like I don't have any family other than my daughter. Apparently my birth dad's from Washington State. I digress. So I had to play it kind of politically correct in the fact that.
Well, it's worse up there for you guys. It's much worse in Canada than it is down here. Put a cigarette out on your neck. Man, that is just, of course, these leftists. They're just such, they do send their best, actually. They do send their best. That is their best. Put a cigarette out on a man's neck. First they chop up, they mangle, they mutilate the little kids, and then they burn you with a cigarette when you try to stop them from doing it. These are demons. Next caller, what's your name? Where you from?
Hey, Owen. Can you hear me?
Yes, what's your name?
My name's Nadia. I'm from Los Angeles.
All right, Nadia, what's on your mind?
Hey, man, I'm so happy I finally got through. All right, I have a couple of points I want to make. I have found the video proof that I believe it's circumstantial, but it's impossible to ignore that the hit on Charlie Kirk was BB's doing, that he set it up. If you go on the JNS YouTube channel, that stands for Jewish News Syndicate, I believe, from 5 months ago, just type in BB's speech, JNS, on that channel, and you listen to that speech, and he talks about the threat, the growing, looming threat from the right, and how that there's groups that are funded by governments, and that their enemies are receiving comfort and enjoying the comfort of American young people. and that needs to be reversed. And he says we got to puncture the lies, and as fast as it's gone up is as fast as it can go down. And he starts that speech in the beginning of it talking about the pager attack. You know, he's bragging about it and everything. And, you know, that also got me thinking, you remember when Trump was given the golden pager from Bibi Netanyahu as a gift?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I find it really weird. It kind of reminds me of the golden telephone from The Godfather 2, right? But I found it weird because I think Glenn Beck was like the second person to host Charlie's show after he passed away. And then Glenn brings in Charlie's microphone, or Rush Limbaugh's microphone that he was gifted, right, from Rush's wife after he died. And, yeah, he sets the golden microphone in front of Charlie's microphone. And I don't know, I just think it's really weird with the golden pager, golden microphone. And I believe there was something in the lavalier mic that caused that. And I'm telling you, if you watch that speech, JNS, it's Bibi's straight up speech. It's undeniable. That's exactly what happened, and it shows, to me, it shows his motive, premeditation, and plus all the other things that link into that, but specifically honing in on that one speech from 5 months ago. So please, if you can, take the time. I'm telling you, you'll have the biggest story out there because no one has looked at this video. No one has seen this video. And I'm like the only person who's seen it, I guess, because no one's bringing it up.
Well, I've certainly not heard about that, and I'm not sure if I would say that that's conclusive evidence for anything. But yeah, obviously that's where a lot of people are leaning with this. I think that there is something here. This has nothing to do with. I'm not saying this has anything to do with Charlie's assassination, but there is this thing, and you mentioned what Netanyahu was talking about, where yes, we can all see it happening right in front of us. Where, call it whatever you want, call it paid for influencers, call it, you know, digital influence campaigns, call it foreign propaganda, call it infiltration, call it whatever you want. We all see it now, where you have the interests of Israel that basically they're able to infiltrate these groups, get in good standing with these groups, and then they basically, as I think we're learning about, you know, maybe Charlie and his donors, he talks about there's this pressure, you know, there's this pressure that you have to support Israel. And so it seems, you know, it seems, and I don't think Turning Point is denying how Charlie was feeling about this stuff in his last days. It seems like it's pretty confirmed that whether it was him responding to the direction of the right youth not wanting to support Israel, or whether it was a decision that he had made himself, that he didn't like the direction the Netanyahu regime was going and the war in Gaza, you know. But clearly he expressed this. So that was clearly going on. And so that upset the donors. And they said they were going to stop, you know, funding him. And so this is what happens in politics is young people can easily be manipulated and then influenced and then used for an agenda that they don't think is what they're being used for. And so I think that's why you see the Mark Levins crashing out so hard is, you know, their whole purpose here was to make sure that the right wing stays pro-Israel. And now that is changing, they're freaking out because that was their job. That was their modus operandi, was to keep the right wing as pro-Israel. And for them, whether they're doing it because it's literally like they're getting paid to do it, or it's just Israel is near and dear to their heart, that's what they care about more than America, I don't know. But that's clearly, I mean, it's pretty undeniable that that's what goes on. So it's really being exposed now. And then now it becomes like this like moral compass or choose a side thing. And I think that again is where Charlie was just kind of like, hey, you know, this is not an issue I want to make part of the platform. And they said, well, you better not put Tucker Carlson on the stage. And he said, I'm going to put Tucker Carlson on the stage. So this stuff no doubt happens. And I think you could even look at it as big as the Trump administration. You could look at it even from that perspective. That's how big this thing is. That's how much money goes into this stuff. So, but I don't know. I haven't seen that video. I don't think it's necessarily conclusive of anything. And I don't think, I'm just going to leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that. Let's take another call. All right, next caller. What's your name? Where you from?
It's Sam from Bozeman, Montana, and I'm the guy who introduced you to Nick Oakes.
All right.
And I just want to say hi and just, you were saying like earlier, nothing makes sense. I mean, that's how I feel. Absolutely. I'm like, looking at this Charlie Kirk thing, I'm like, none of it makes sense. I'm trying to are we doing an Oswald again? They're like, they fell for it once, they'll fall for it again. Kash Patel, if he sticks with this narrative, I mean, I saw Dan Bongino the other day, and he's pretty much throwing his hands up too, going like, man, it's so deep. I don't know if I can. I'm just like, what in the hell is going on here?
Yeah. Well, look, if it was, let's say, a professional hit, then they're not going to find out who did it. I mean, they might be able. And so this is where I think that there could be issues for them is, what are they going to do? Are they going to come out to the American people and say, we have no idea? Or are they going to say, we got this guy on the roof with a gun, we got to give him something? I don't know. I've never worked for the FBI. I've never done law enforcement like that. So I can't even, it's hard for me to really pontificate on these decisions. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if people, talk about, it's a professional job, then you're never going to find out. You're never going to find out. And all you're going to have is Tyler Robinson running across the roof with something. I don't know. So we're going to see what happens. I'm in a holding pattern. Let's see what happens with that trial. Let's see if they provide us any other information. It doesn't seem they've gone quiet now. They've definitely gone quiet now. But to me, the only thing I'm conclusive of is that I don't believe the official narrative. I believe the official narrative is impossible. 30-6, Robinson taking a shot. I don't think that it's possible.
Well, and on another note, I just want to say congratulations. I've been a big fan of yours since the beginning, and all my Proud Boys friends love you, and I'm glad we got the Oaks, the Knicks out of jail. They did 4 years, 3 years, I guess, but I'm glad they let some out. But there's some that are still in there. What the hell?
Yeah, well, and really, there should be restitution. There needs to be restitution for the people that lost. I mean, look, I was only in for 2 months, but you know what? I should get restitution too. It's ridiculous. So the pardons were great. Don't get me wrong. Pardons were great, and I will never say I regretted voting for Trump just because of that. And I probably wouldn't say it anyway. This is the best option, but I will never regret voting for Trump because of the pardons and freeing the J6 prisoners. I will never regret voting for Trump. That doesn't mean I won't be critical, but I'll never say I regretted it because that alone was worth it. All right, next caller. What's your name? Where are you from?
Hey, Owen. My name is Ryan. I'm from Kenosha, Wisconsin, the glory city from 2020.
Yeah, the glory city, huh? All right, what's up?
Yeah. No, really quick, I just wanted to let you know, I'm 28 now, and I started watching you like 10 years ago when I was just leaving high school, and you inspired me a lot of my views. So I've been watching you ever since, and I just appreciate you're still here, and I'm glad you got your own show now.
Thank you. I hope you'll be with us every day.
So I just wanted to mention really quick, I was glad to see that you brought Chris Martinson on because I think he's really good. Something that I haven't seen people talk about with the Charlie Kirk shooting yet, there was this guy on TikTok who was breaking all the videos down, and there was this one that showed it from the front in slow motion, and right below we don't know if it's an entrance or exit wound in the neck, you could see a very small hole, almost center mass, that was shooting blood out a little bit. Just as much. It just wasn't, like as drastic. And I wish I could find the video because I feel like a lot of people don't know about it. But when I saw that video, it kind of changed my perspective on things because the purpose of showing that was people were saying, oh, he had body armor on. But I just found it interesting that when I saw that video, it looked like there was a secondary wound in the chest. And I don't know if you heard anything about that, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
No, I have not seen that. I'd be highly skeptical of that video, too. I think there's a lot of people putting fake stuff out there.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know what to make of it. I mean, to be honest with you, the perspective about the 50 caliber, I don't know about that. I would think that would take someone's head off. I mean, I agree with him. I don't know that the 30-06 necessarily is accurate either, so I don't know what to believe. My fear is with the whole thing is like, I mean, I don't know who we're ultimately suspecting that it would have been. I just fear that if it was somebody who did it because of politics, they're not going to be held accountable because, we're trying to blame other people for it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know they were trying to blame the gropers and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I don't know.
Well, and who knows? Maybe there was somebody in that, Discord chat or whatever it was egging them on. Maybe there was someone in there egging them on to set them up to be a patsy.
Yeah, but how would you imagine something like that working? Like, I just find it hard to believe that they just pull some random kid and then they're just like, they somehow set him up like that. Like, how would you envision something like that playing out?
You infiltrate a group, you inspire to commit an act, and then you basically follow it as it's happening in live time. And if you're able to get the result you want, then you take the shot. And then your patsy is on the roof with a gun. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's all very – I mean, you could say the odds of that are 1 in a million. Fine. The odds of 30-06 not doing more damage is also 1 in a million. So –
Right. Yeah, I mean, I mean, at this point, what are you suspecting? Because it sounds like you're definitely not convinced that it's necessarily just some deranged person on the left.
No, as I've said, the only conclusion that I've reached is that I don't believe the official narrative. That's really the only conclusion that I could reach, generally speaking. I just don't see it's possible. From what I've seen and all the evidence that we have been made available, it seems impossible that it was Tyler Robinson that got on the roof, fired a 30-06, cold barrel, assembles a gun, fires a cold barrel, non-trained shooter, and has the fatal shot, and then is halfway across the roof in less than 3 seconds after the shot. When did he disassemble the gun? When did he reassemble a gun? He left the tools on the roof. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and go over the whole thing. But that's the only conclusion I've reached, is that the official narrative that we have right now is just impossible. There's just no way. That's the only thing I can reach. All right, next caller. What's your name? Where you're from?
Hi, Owen. This is Joseph from Las Vegas. How you doing?
What's up, Joseph?
I just have a question. So, of course, you've seen the progress of the Abraham Accords coming into fruition. Trump's trying to end the whole Middle Eastern war, and then you see of course, the escalation after everything's looking good. This morning, I saw reports that Israel was already breaching the agreement. And
so what happened was there was a timetable. It was like a countdown thing, and Israel just decided we're going to do as much death and destruction in the final minutes of this deal until it kicks in.
Okay.
So technically, they did not.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, I saw him talking like about it this in the press pool, in his little cabinet meeting this morning about it, and a lot of the press. I was gonna say, how come nobody's asking him why is Israel bombing this morning? I didn't know there was a timer on that. That's insane, but whatever. I guess they try to get in as much as they can.
Exactly, which is like, how can you consider that a true peace deal? It's like, how can you sit here and say we're negotiating in good faith a peace deal, and then there's a countdown timer, and you're like, all right, go get as much as you can in the final minutes. I mean, that's just like, you don't want peace.
No, that's how you could tell it's not going to be a lasting peace. And it's unfortunate because everybody seems like they want a peace. Even Iran is seeming to, hang on just so they can get some peace. Everyone's kind of like giving up a little bit just for Israel just to squander everybody, and it's just really sad how they could do that kind of stuff. But that does change things. I didn't realize there was a timer. on the priest deal. But
Yeah, so technically they didn't violate it. But just think about that. It's like, oh, we know we only have X amount of time to bomb and fire, so let's just do it. It's unreal, man. Next caller, what's your name? Where you're from?
Robert calling from Florida.
All right, Robert, what's on your mind?
Yes, just trying to lighten it up a little bit. I just can see just everybody's just so beat down with everything that's going on. But I was wondering if you had heard of or seen Jake GTV, any of that parody stuff that's around.
I don't know.
Oh, bro, it's really funny. I mean, it's all the current stuff, but yeah, they just put a spin on everything. You know, they'll say antiseptic instead of anti-Semitic, but if you see Jake GTV, the whole thing about the shooting, just to kind of lighten it up a little bit and have a little levity and some humor. Just thought I'd put that out there.
All right. Well, if I ever see it, I'll know who sent me that direction. Or maybe the AI. The AI will pick that up and force it into my timeline now. I bet you that actually really happens. I bet you the AI picks up you saying that and then feeds it into my timeline. Happens all the time. Next caller, what's your name? Where you from? Going once. Next.
Am I on?
Yes. What's your name? Where are you from?
I'm John from Georgia.
Okay, John, you tried calling in earlier. You fumbled the phone. What's up?
No, I didn't try to call. I don't think I tried to call earlier.
You don't think? You're not sure?
I don't think I pressed. Anyways, listen, I want to get this conversation on a different plane. I hope you don't mind. That where the world, right, in America is complaining because we are seeing all this corruption all around and the wicked are ruling. And I want to let people know, and you have to understand, one thing that's really good is it's being exposed. It's being revealed to us, right? So what I'm saying is God is gracious and merciful, and he's revealing to us that he is judging a nation. People have to understand the Bible. So many people don't read the Bible, and they don't know anything about Reformed theology, which is what the Reformers created, the Western world. They were burnt at the stake. You know, they were persecuted. They actually executed a king in England, and they, of course, they came to America because of persecution, and they sacrificed him. Half of the pilgrims died the first winter, right? They sacrificed a lot to worship Christ and propagate the gospel. And what I'm saying is our country has turned their back on Christ, and we, the people, if we want this to be corrected, you can fight all you want laterally. We can fight against the bad guys and all the wicked. It's not going to do a thing if it's a judgment of God that he put these. People have to understand, he puts people in power. He's sovereign. He is the sovereign God. He says, I bring.
Well, there's no doubt there's a big reveal happening, and it will affect American politics for a long time. And I think that a lot of the people, you know, they're going to consider what they've witnessed in this administration next time they vote, the good and the bad. And so you think about what happened with COVID and the vaccines and the mask. Well, people will remember that, and they're not going to go willingly again. They're not going to go willingly be forced to take an injection, wear a mask, do the shutdown. So, you know, these things, bad things end up having political consequences, maybe in a good way. So I think that's why I think, you know, the whole issue of foreign entanglements, foreign wars, whether it's Ukraine, Israel, or anything else, you know, people are going to remember that. They're going to remember that, and they're going to remember that when they vote. And it's going to be one of the biggest issues, I think, in the midterms and then in the presidential election. And I still argue to this day, the last two presidents, because Joe Biden stole it, or they stole it for him. But Obama won because he was against the Middle East wars, and I think Trump won because he was against the Middle East wars. So I think that it's a very underrated, undervalued political issue. And that's because, you know, the powers that be don't want you to realize that. They want you to be stuck on the plantation of the left-right paradigm as the military industrial complex continues to roll along quite nicely, and they're all getting rich. So I think people will consider that. They will consider that more than ever in the upcoming elections. All right, folks. That's going to do it for today. By the way, this is an official shirt that we have on here that just went live at owenschroyer.store, the Win Network Founders Polo. So you can get the Owen Report official polo shirt. That's the navy with the Owen Report logo. Or the Win Network Founders Polo, the one I'm wearing today, black with the white Texas star here. This is now available at owenschroyer.store. Don't forget to support our other sponsors from today, MyPatriotSupply.com/Owen, BlackoutCoffee.com/Owen, and, of course, CovePure.com/Owen water filters. We thank our sponsors for sponsoring the show today. And we thank you for calling in. And that is going to do it for today. We'll see you same time, same channel tomorrow. God bless and Godspeed.
Game in the game, plain you see, average man when the rest was a shame.